Well, hello everyone, and welcome to SOS to Swim or Sink. It is I, Mad Gamer II. I am joined by the one and only Karnai. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing very well. I'm so happy to be back on Swim or Sink after I was here last week, but I'm in the earlier block this time. And we have some exciting matches coming up for you guys there on Twitch and YouTube. Our first match and, well, our first set that we are going to be looking at is Hampter versus Cowboy Vac Pop. Now let's take a look at these maps and modes here, see what we have to offer in these next couple of games.
I know our next one to start us off for this round is going to be Barnacle and Dime on Zones. A nice kind of... This is going to be a bloodbath for sure in mid here. It is one of those maps where you really have to scramble. You really want to keep your defenses up, because as soon as you kind of lose any sort of footing, that just the enemy team will just swamp all over you.
Absolutely. After the kind of bloodbath that we have on Barnacle and Dime's flat zones, we are going into even more of a bloodbath, dare I say, on Rainmaker Manta Maria for our second game. A very notorious map for being nigh impossible to knock out on.
Did you say Manta Maria Rainmaker? Wow, I have not seen that in a hot minute. Just as you said, it is almost even more difficult than Scorch Gorge, and that is also a very tough map to knock out on. But we're going to be starting off with our zones map. We'll have to chat about our third match once we get to it, but here we go for these two teams.
I am seeing a bunch of really interesting weapon choices on the side of Hampter. Not only do we have the new Pro, we are also going to be seeing the Stickers Stamper as well as the Rapid, but a pretty substandard team comp on Cowboy Vac Pop. The only thing I do want to point out is the use of Squelchies on there to end up going down in the first couple of seconds for Cowboy, as Hampter has control of the zone in this early lead.
I was like, both of these teams are trying to play the range game here with their midline, and then having that just the shooter to follow up with the paint here. But I feel like just the slaying power is going to go into Hampter here. We saw this in his first bout, able to get the first kind of any sort of hold right now. They do lose their backline, however, which is going to allow Cowboy Vac Pop to start breaking into zone, but the Booyah Bomb and the trade is going to slow that down. We're already down to 30 points on the zone here, and Hampter has not let up at all.
Absolutely. They are making sure that they stay in that advantage state, painting up as much as humanly possible, which is quite easy to do on a zone as small as this. We're already in the single digits now. Cowboy Vac is looking to try and get that penalty point situation on Hampter, but with two down on Cowboy, it is not looking good because Hampter... I was hoping we were going to see a nice lead swap, not a lead swap, a nice zone cap from Cowboy. But Hampter takes the first round in stride, going 100-0 in a single push while keeping Cowboy out of the zone the entire time, basically.
I say we saw that T-Tech right at the end there, just trying for dear life to paint that zone, but in the end, the Rapid opted to go for the player rather than the zone, and that just the two down we saw right there at the end just allowed Hampter just completely complete their control of the zone there. And like you said, they took it all the way from 100, just did not let go for the entirety of that match. And so I don't know, just a lot of that fighting ended up in say Cowboy Vac Pop's their little court area. Just they couldn't get past that chokehold around their snipe, and so it really does, like, that range with the Rapid and whatnot just was very impressive.
Absolutely. And we are probably going to see much more of an oppressive lineup, I feel in the near future. Again, Rainmaker, Manta Maria. God, what a map mode. Oh my god, there are so many unpleasant things that I could say about Rainmaker on Manta Maria, but the pleasant part about it is that it will provide these teams with two very aggressive stances, I feel like, because unlike zones, you can't really just, you know, hang around the middle and paint. You have to move forward with the Rainmaker, and on Manta Maria, it is God, it is absolutely kind of a pain to even reach the first checkpoint sometimes because of how much of a fight in mid that you have to put up from the other team.
I was just gonna say, to your point, having like that kind of long range, just sit in mid and keep control worked really well for Barnacle and Dime, especially for zones when you don't really need to move your line of defense anywhere outside that zone. But with Rainmaker, in order to get those points, you have to push into the enemy base. And once you get past kind of the mass to that mid area, it's a lot of close quarters, a lot of tight fights. And honestly, just the range is not going to have that same advantage that we saw on Barnacle and Dime.
Absolutely, and in response to us switching over to Manta Maria, we are seeing a bit of a comp change. I do want to point out we have the new Octobrush, the one with the Auto Bomb and the Kraken, which might be very helpful for Hampter to keep Cowboy Vac Pop under threat. But I do want to point out, again, we have had a comps change. We now have a vanilla splat roller as well as a head it on Cowboy. We can see that Kraken is going to be popped right in the first 30 seconds of the match, which is insane. But Hampter is 2 down. It is not looking good for them.
I love both the edit and the brush pick here. It's just edit in particular, we see a lot of pencil players swapping to that for this particular map, again because of the tight corners, but also just the fights you can have up on like race there. Just that heavy edit just puts out so much paint, so much damage, and is able to just kind of assist the team in that way. And then the Octobrush here coming in with that Kraken we saw earlier, just able to break through a lot of those chokeholds, a lot of those defenses that normally would keep things in a stalemate. But we see already that Hampter is trying to go for the goal, but like I said, like just that particular spot is so hard to get through because of the way the defenders can set up.
Absolutely, and we see Cowboy has picked up the Rainmaker. They are currently being stalled on their ledge area right next to that grate, and it looks like that Brush is looking for a kill. Does not end up getting the pick on the Rainmaker. Moxie now trying to go forward, but does end up going down, and Cowboy is now at a disadvantage with 3 down and a delayed wipe under their name, which means that Hampter is going to be taking that Rainmaker, dunking it into the checkpoint, and they are hopefully going to be looking for some more points if they can get past the checkpoint and down into that goal area. But like we were saying earlier, that goal area is super hard to break through unless you have such a huge disadvantage or a huge advantage on the other team.
And I think in particular, like because of that splat roller on Cowboy Vac Pop, like if you don't know where that thing is, and the minute you try to pick up that Rainmaker, they're just going to jump out and pop you back. And so they really have to be careful trying to get past this checkpoint here. And they do manage to stop Cowboy Vac Pop from moving any further. But again, we're just kind of in the stalemate scenario right here. Just neither team can really push forward because neither team has been able to kind of get that advantage that you were talking about, just not being able to get like an overwhelming player count, overwhelming odds against them. We do see 2 members do go down for the side of Cowboy, but unfortunately, Hampter is not able to push past this edit here.
Yeah, Moxie doing a really good job of holding down the fort, but Magic from behind, grabbing the Rainmaker out of nowhere and just getting it a little bit further along the line. But now Cowboy Vac Pop has the advantage because Hampter did go 3 down in that moment. We are going to be going over the rail. Moxie having control of the Rainmaker is being threatened by that brush below and does end up going down, which means that Cowboy Vac Pop wipes out to Hampter, which is not where you want to be if you are in the disadvantage, because now Hampter has free reign of that checkpoint area.
Absolutely, and I feel like in order to get the points that Cowboy Vac Pop needs, is like they have to mount a unified attack here against Hampter. But Hampter, like if they continue to just keep putting on the pressure, just sending in, the brush, sending in the Kraken, and sending their players to like just grab the Rainmaker, any little delay is going to get them closer to that goal, and they finally just crumble. Cowboy Vac Pop crumble underneath all that pressure, and Hampton gets the KO.
Wow, a KO on Manta Maria Rainmaker. You really don't see that often. Dare I say you see that less often than you see this map mode even come up in tournament settings like this. What an incredible play from Hampter. That wipeout really really sealed the deal for them, because while Cowboy was able to stall them for just a little bit, Hampter really just got them right back with the Kraken on the brush, did an incredible job of clearing the area, and it was just yikes. That must have hurt.
I say it was interesting comparing the brush to the roller. Like, the roller really had to play to the stealth, like play for, the sneak attack, but then the brush was just ran up and got in their faces like every single time. Just, I think they got near a triple or a quad right at the end there, but just they had no fear and were continuing to just hunt down the Rainmaker carrier every time they picked that up. So Hampter is going to be taking the set, bringing it up to 2-0. However, if this is best of 3, if I remember correctly, it has changed since the last time I played SOS.
Indeed it is. Wow. Just Hampter really showing us a super duper solid performance here in this first round. Gosh, what an incredible first couple of games, and we've got plenty of more really good games for you guys coming up as we are streaming these matches as they are ready. And because Hampter absolutely unfortunately wiped to the floor with the Cowboys, our next match isn't ready yet.
I need a little bit of time to catch up, so we're going to be going to a quick break. So stay tuned and stay hydrated. We'll be right back.
And welcome back, IPL Twitch viewers. SOS is underway, and after our first round, we are going to be going right into our second round of groups. That's right, it's already time for the second round of groups, and we have two pretty darn good teams for you here. Los Inklings versus Cerulege's Strongest Soldiers.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we know Los Inklings don't need any introduction. They've been in the comp scene, and they've been causing all sorts of trouble, just dominating some of the brackets as well. From what you told me, this other team their name is based off a Pokemon, which I did not realize.
I may not know Pokemon very well, but I know that one for sure because it's the little guy who's a knight, and I It's freaking adorable. But enough about that. Let us see what we are going to be going into. Mahi Splat Zones, my favorite map mode combination of all time. And we can see that Los Inklings is bringing out their typical team comp. We've got the, oh my god, I can't remember what that bow is called. We've got a roller, we've got the heavy, and a shot. And on Sir Religious Strongest Soldiers, I'm looking at the pro. We have Splat Dualies, Pencil, and I believe a Stamper. So very, semi-standard comps from both of these teams here, as Los Inklings has the lead.
I love that new bow. That is the Reflex Milk, I think it's called. Like, no joke, it is the Reflex Milk. And it is pretty fantastic, pretty strong here. Hammy here, an expert, I say an expert on the Reflex, and not so in the face of a pencil perhaps, but the Booyah Bomb and that Torpedo are just so strong for poking and just keeping that space for Los Inklings. And they already got it down to 40 points already. They go 2 down here. Jumps are going to come out here, but they're still keeping control of the zone. They're still ticking away. Like, we might see another one and done match for our zones here. Just Los Inklings are not letting up right here.
Absolutely not, and getting a double on that roller, doing a great job here. And like you said, 100-0, Los Inklings taking that first game in stride with an incredible paint output and coordination from their team. We know exactly what these guys are made of, and it's basically just straight paint.
Exactly. And honestly, they didn't really need to push up too far into the enemy base. Like, we saw them, they were all underneath those ledges there. We saw the Carbon and the Reflex able to just kind of keep control, keep the space from just that quarter there, and be able to, you know, make it very dangerous for the other team to drop down. Like, they didn't have any safe spaces to move at, and so they just constantly were losing members left, right, and center here. But it's interesting because I know I'm gonna butcher this so hard. Cerulege's Strongest Shoulders, I did recognize they have a member from Land Crabs, one of the top seeds from Ludi in the Division 7, and also I'm gonna say Shark. I already forgot the player's name, but from YouTube Video Converter, which is another pretty strong team in Div 6 and 7.
I completely missed that. Thank you so much for pointing that out. We are going to be going into our second game, Tower Control on Inkblot Academy, and Los Inklings can't 100-0 so fast their way out of this one, because unfortunately with the tower, you gotta stick with it and ride it all the way to the end. But on Inkblot, I feel like both of these teams are going to have ample opportunities to be duking it out in mid, on stacks, in plat, in bats. All of the places that you see the team fights, I feel like are going to be amplified to 10 because of these, what we've seen of these guys' comps so far.
Absolutely. And honestly, like, I'm surprised that Mahi was the lockout map, because usually you see that and it's pretty back and forth. It's always Tower Control and Inkblot that you really see one team just really get going and start to lock out the opponent here. But you know, from what we saw last time, it's just the same thing for zones. Just they were able to kind of get the space and then ignore zone as it ticked away and continue to put on the pressure. We'll have to see how Los Inklings fare when they have to start pushing into the enemy plat right here, and vice versa. We'll see how well they're able to get that momentum going.
I am expecting to see that roller in bats, personally, because again, it's Inkblot. You want to be on the bats when you are approaching that second check area, and like in second check, we see that Hydra being pulled out from Los Inklings, which is going to be a nasty thing to contend with if you're Strongest Soldiers, because that Hydra can basically just pop itself on the tower and not move. Hammy is still on that Reflex Milk, and we also see a Custom Blaster on Los Inklings as well, but we are seeing the same comp from Cerulege's Strongest Soldiers. I do want to point out, though, that Los Inklings has 2 Booyah Bombs on their side.
Yeah, Los Inklings is packing a get off my tower comp right now between the two Booyah Bombs and the Splashdown. Like, all they need is an early lead, and then they can just deny tower for the majority of this game right here. We're already seeing one Booyah come out. However, Sarah Ledge's comp really is going to be coming in for the fight, but they do lose two of their members. Take two of their own, but is going to be a 2v2 situation right here. Not quite getting the space that they wanted right there. Wendigo is going to be setting up on the bats, but they're just going down. Two of them going down to Hammy on the left there. Rare there to clean things up.
Yeah, and it's just an absolute bloodbath in mid right now. Neither of these teams have gotten very far, and we are already 1 minute into the match with Teresa on the tower. Now that Hydra taking the lead as we are looking like it's gonna break first check, and now is the time to go on bats and clean it up before you go forward. But that Hydra does end up going down. We do have an early lead on Los Inklings, but it's 89-70, so it's not a very big one. If Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers can take a little bit past the first checkpoint, they'd be able to easily swap that lead towards them.
And they almost were able to deny Los Inklings this push right here, but then the Splashdown came in and took down half their team there. So now we see Los Inklings already back in position trying to push that tower, and just the amount of yellow ink we see out here is making it very difficult for Sarah Ledge's strongest shoulders to really get any sort of space right now. Like, Equal is really going at him right now, taking control of the bats that you mentioned before. But with three members down, it is just the Hydra, and they are forced to back up.
Yeah, you do not want to be a Hydra in this situation where the rest of Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers are going after you after a 3 down. They have gotten a little bit more of the lead now, 64 under Los Inklings' belt. But with 2 going down on Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers, it is, again, not looking good for them to start a push. Equals now is going to be taking that box directly onto Sarah Ledge's platform as Hammy brings forward the bats pressure that you'd want to see. But Los Inklings does end up going 2 down, but they are at checkpoint 2 with the pressure from Hammy and the Hydra combined.
I say the second checkpoint seems to be Los Inklings' Achilles heel, not quite able to push past it up till now, finally able to break it, but with a wipeout like that, Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers, there we go. Not quite, finally going to be taking some space, looking for those splats, looking for those advantageous positions that they've been trying for all game, but have not been successful as of yet.
Absolutely, and with 2 down on Los Inklings, it is looking like Sarah Ledge is going to be able to push past that first checkpoint after almost 4 minutes of the game gone. They are at the 61 mark. They just need to get it a little bit past checkpoint 2, and with everybody and their mama in bats, it is looking like it might actually work out for them. That triple ink strike does end up going triple ink strike, triple splash. You guys know what I meant when I said that, but it's looking like Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers is not going to be able to break past that second checkpoint, which means they are going back into the neutral game, but that lead differential is getting a little too close to comfort for Los Inklings.
As I say, everyone and your mama and bats is the last thing you want to be when you have a blaster with a splashdown coming right at you. Thankfully, they were only able to get the 2, but that was just what Los Inklings needed to kind of deny that push right there and keep the lead that they got here. But like you said, it is a close lead right now. There is a checkpoint for Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers to get through, but with 40 seconds left, they have a little bit of time to do so. Just they're gonna have to face the barrage of Booyah bombs and then the splashdown on top of everything. It's just exactly what I was talking about before. Like, as soon as Los Inklings has that lead, they can just play keep off my tower for the rest of the game.
Absolutely, they need to take out that Booyah bomb before the GG Booyah is thrown onto that tower, but they are too busy protecting the stacks from Los Inklings. While it seems like Slug, I believe, is going to be looking to take that tower and tap it, but they do end up going down, which means that Sarah Ledge has a chance to get that overtime lead. They just need to hold it for as long as possible, but with the Booyah bomb coming out from Hammy, Los Inklings takes the tower under their control once again, knocking out Sarah Ledge's strongest soldiers 2-0.
And say Hammy went down several times in that last engagement, but by the end of it, they still had 2 buoy bombs ready to go, and they just threw them both at the tower, making sure that they had zero chance of taking them back. Like you said, just Los Inklings with a really nice performance, able to take this 2-0. And it really was a little bit more back and forth that time. You know, I feel like just the vibe was Mahi and Inkblot just swapped in this set right here. We had the very dominant Mahi done in a minute zones, and then Inkblot Art Academy went on into overtime with neither team really pushing too far past second checkpoint.
Absolutely. And with these super quick games, you guys would expect another break, but not at all. Our next match is absolutely ready. Huge shout out to the previous match, Los Inklings versus Saralage's Strongest Soldiers. But we're going to be diving right in to Ghost Stories versus Sonic Speed Simulator up next on our Robo Ramen Splat Zones match.
Yeah, if you thought I had trouble saying the last team name, this one's going to be a fun one. Oh gosh. All right, I'm taking a look at these teams. I do recognize a couple on the side of Ghost Stories. We have Not X-Men, who is totally not X-Men, along with Minty and Mia. I've seen them play. This seems to be a bit of a pickup here. And of course, we have Sonic Speed Simulator, headed, I assume, by Amy Rose here, a fun team to be watching here. And of course, we're going to be starting out on the Ramen of Zones.
Welcome to the Ramen of Zones, where you can throw a sprinkler at the bottom of the ramen bowl and just cover the entire zone if you really want to. After that, we are going to be followed up by Clam Blitz on Museum the Alfonsino. Robo Ramen Zones, I personally am expecting to see a little bit of cheese. A little bit of cheesy ramen, if you would like to say so, because it's definitely, I feel, a reef slider bonanza on this map, because you can position the reef slider just right to basically cap the zone whenever the hell you want. And with all of the sneaky little points that you can pop up from and into mid, it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams play around that. But like we saw with the last zones that we'd gotten on Mahi Mahi, it could 100% be like a complete lockout situation, because you've got the little elbow in Ramen where you can just sit there and shoot. If you're a long enough ranged weapon, you can basically reach the other team's spawn area. So I'm gonna be watching to see if we get some of that. And I'm so sorry for talking so long,
No, it's all good. And I'm glad you brought up the elbow, Carney, because honestly, like, to follow up your reef slider, the reef slider isn't not only good for the zone, but is also good for just taking out that elbow, because like you said, is one of the primary forms of not only defense but also takeback. So like if you have a reef slider, it can just go right up to the elbow and you pretty much can't stand anywhere on that without getting splatted. So it just does a good job of clearing out. And if you have your team ready to go, you can just push up or even deny the retake push that the opposing team wants to get in. So it is incredibly strong for Ramen. But that being said, you still do have to watch out for all the alternate routes around it. There's a lot of pits, a lot of flanks that some of the more skirmishy weapons can get up behind. So if you're focused solely on the elbow, it could leave you a little bit blindsided. But nonetheless, it is a really strong point to have, whether you're on the offensive or defensive team.
Absolutely. And again, there are a lot of pits, flanks, and underneath like little tunnel areas that you can go through in Robo Ramen, so I'm gonna be seeing if any of these teams utilize that. Let's see the weapon comps, though. It's looking like we see double swords as well as several blasters in the mix, and I do want to point out we've got a Nautilus 79, I believe, on the map. Oh my god, as a Nautilus main, I've never been happier.
And it's incredibly interesting because not only do they have the golden Nautilus with that splashdown, they have the custom blaster. So they're rocking the double splashdown comp here alongside that stamper. Or sorry, not the stamper, the Splatana here, and they're making short work of Ghost Stories right now, able to take down 2 of them, but do lose 2 of their own members, so it's going to leave them a bit of a stalemate, but the hammer throw is going to even the odds for Ghost Stories, and they are going to be taking the, I guess, second zone cap, but so close to getting that lead right back.
Absolutely, and like you said, those double splashdowns are going to be pretty nasty to deal with if Sonic Speed Simulator can ever get out of their base, because that crab tank in the elbow right where you want it to be is splatting the heck out of these guys. Whack now on the sword, doing a really good job of taking down the opposing sword on Ghost Stories. And like you said, gets an easy walk into that mid area as that splashdown caps the zone almost instantly. Color now on that Nautilus is going to be looking for a pick on the elbow, but does end up going down before they can get the splashdown in, and that means 3 down on Sonic Speed Simulator, which means that Ghost Stories has to move in, but they are unable to because that last person on Sonic just does the absolute best they can and keeps the zone under their control.
Custom Blaster winning the Blaster 1v1 in the end there, allowing Sonic Speed Simulator to take the zone into possession and the lead as well. And now we see the color on the Nautilus doing an excellent job of just keeping this elbow, the splashdown users there to just clear them away. And they do lose a bit of control here, but they still, okay, I take that back. I was going to say they're alive and kicking, but not for long. 3 members down, and it is just Walk here trying to stay alive for dear life as all of Ghost Stories is bearing down on them.
Absolutely, and with the zone back underneath Ghost Stories' possession, they are going to be looking to play into that elbow yet again. The Blaster is looking for some kills, but it's looking like they might not be able to get a little bit more. They might get a little bit more than they asked for, because that stamp is going to be going in 2 down on Ghost Stories now as the lead barely flips into there, and Walk on the side trying to sneak in like they did beforehand, but it seems like Sonic Speed Simulator coming from all angles manages to keep the zone under their control for now, giving Ghost Stories a 50-tick penalty, which is not where you want to be when the lead is so close and the rest of the opposing team is in your elbow looking for kills. Ooh.
Walk just doing an excellent job of getting into Sonic Speed's face right here, and now we see the 96 cleaning things up to keep the zone in their possession while the team jumps in. Crab's going to be popped here just to get some sort of semblance of control, and they do take down Walk, but it is quickly shredded here, and just the defensive pressure coming out from Sonic Speed is just keeping the zone in their possession, getting down to 15, taking that lead. It does finally go back in Ghost Stories' possession here, but I think it was amazing that Sonic Speed was able to hold on to it. We saw that Ghost Stories had a player in their pit to divert the splashdown, but eventually just again the pressure and the aggression coming out from Walk here has just been giving Ghost Stories a headache right here, just been a thorn on the side all match here, and they have not been able to deal with it as of yet.
Absolutely, that stamp and sword combo is giving them a run for their money, basically, as Aria manages to splat Walk in the moment, getting that crab over towards that zone, looking to cap the zone with as much as they possibly can. Less than a minute left on the match now. The stamp is going to be coming down, looking to cap the zone, but it is not nearly enough. 1 down on either side now. Ghost Stories looking to cap the zone. They do end up capping it in the moment. 15-22, 45 seconds left on the clock. It is now or never for Sonic Speed Simulator to get it underneath their control in order to win.
35 seconds remaining. You still have a couple of ticks of that penalty here, but once that's gone, there's only a couple points between Ghost Stories and the lead here. So, like you said, Sonic Speed's got to make a move here soon. They do get a pick on the wiper here, and the Zipcaster is a wall right now. Splashdown does come out, but not quite able to get the splat or get the zone back. But here comes another splashdown. Blasters really push up here, and they do cap the zone with 15 seconds to spare and applying another hefty penalty to Ghost Stories. Amy Rose here just cleaning things up in the backside, and here comes Walk once again with the hammer, trying to get into Ghost Stories' base, not letting them get within an inch of that zone, and they're going to be taking game 1.
An incredible take and retake by Sonic Speed Simulator, just barely snagging that lead from Ghost Stories, keeping it going, and then just making sure that that lead did not change. But it was close there for a solid minute, dare I say, too close for comfort. And speaking of getting leads a little too close for comfort, Clam Blitz on Museum de Alfonsino sure is probably one of the most too close for comfort map modes in the game as is current standing in the tournament setting, because it's kind of difficult to get into the spinner area like safely, I feel, unless you've got, you know, good special what's economy? That's the word I'm looking for. The word I'm looking for is special economy. But there's also like the little box that you can jump onto that's kind of annoying, but I feel like that specific flank doesn't really work out well most of the time.
That was one thing I wanted to point out with Sonic Speed Simulator. Like, I was so impressed that they did actually win that match, because their comp with the double splashdown really relied on someone else on their team getting them into the proximity of the zone, because those two specials can't really break ground, can't really gain them any space on their own. They can only kind of like clear out the space they already got. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
like, for zones, like maybe it is just a ramen thing. Like, because of how ramen is set up, you can kind of get around, you know, the defensive position. But with Museum, like you're saying, just the spinner is so difficult to take back. Like, I can't imagine they're going to be keeping that double splashdown comp. I stand corrected.
Unless they are keeping the same comp from last time, that double splashdown is going to be quite interesting to play around on Museum de Alfonsino. Ghost Stories, I believe, is going to be keeping more of the same here. We've got the rapid, we've got the double swords, we've got the crab. Pretty standard, especially on Museum. I feel like that crab is going to be extremely helpful for them. Now, taking a look at that early Clam economy, Ghost Stories is in the clear lead here, but maybe not for long, because they go 3 down in the moment.
I say the one thing I did not put into my calculations was walk on that sword. We saw them get a nice trade in the first 5 seconds of this game here, and now it is snowballing into a hefty control of the Ghost Stories basket right now, and we do see that power clam in Sonic Speed's possession to break that basket, and Infinity here on the 96 here, just really keeping all the space for their team.
But maybe not for much longer. Sonic Speed Simulator does end up going 3 down, but they did end up almost pushing past that double power clam limit that you need to get the good early lead in this game. But 65 till is nothing to sniff at, especially with how crazy, again, like you said, Walk is doing a really good job of being, oh my god! They did not just throw the stamp and kill that! Oh my, what a shot!
It's like, I see your Zipcaster, and also here's Hammer.
Oh, but dude!
I was like, despite that fantastic play here, we do see Ghost Stories on the aggression right here. They are putting Sonic Speed on the defense. There are just so much yellow paint on this map all around that kind of plat area. They just have that little hump of that spinner that we talked about before that they have to break through forth and get to the basket. And they did pop their crab, but they haven't yet quite breaking through just yet. And the splashdown is going to come out to deny even more space, and they're going to just cancel the hammer just like that. Zipcaster also coming out trying to find something, but with 2 members down, that might be the end of that push.
And it is just an absolute bloodbath in mid, paint flying everywhere, kills left and right. They just barely managed to save that power clam from oblivion, but Walk is coming in out of nowhere with a power clam of their own, just juggling it up the ramp like it's a cakewalk, like it's a walk in the park for them. And with that power clam going into the basket, the rest of the clams are following behind, getting down to 50. We are almost close to the halfway mark for Sonic Speed Simulator. It seems like it is going very well for them, but with that, the end of the push is nigh, which means that Ghost Stories is going to be getting a pity clam, giving them a solid 2 power clams right now.
Yes, indeed, they have the 2 power clams to their name here, but they have 50 points to have to get past here. They do manage to break through to the basket, just slipping right in, and Walk is going to be going down. That's going to be their sword out of the way, but they have to watch out for the splashdown. Nautilus is here in the base. Here comes the splashdown as well to take out the blaster. Now it's just X-Men on the Stamper, just trying to stay alive. One more jump coming in. Will they be able to get some more clams? did they live? They're just so completely alive. They don't get any more clams in, but they were able to distract them for like 2 seconds before Walk came and shut that down here. But already we see Ghost Stories able to take back some of their space in mid. Just a lot of yellow paint once again, and taking out the 96 gal as well. They are looking for a second push here, Carney.
Absolutely, and I feel like they're going to be getting it very soon because look at the clam economy compared. Oh no! We've got a disconnect, folks! We have a disconnect on Ghost Stories. This is absolutely not good for them because now they are down a player. Aria going in, looking for get a clam in that basket, but completely unable to. And now it's Sonic Speed Simulator's turn to just honestly finish it off. You hate to see a disconnect this late in the game, especially when the lead was so close.
Wait. They opened the basket. They took the lead.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, they had no idea. They were so close to, Sonic Speed was so close to getting that basket open. Then here comes, I don't know who, but 20 seconds left. That's 20, and here comes the other bot.
Here comes the other power clam, and it's looking like they're gonna try and dunk it in.
Oh no.
They whipped the power clam shot. They've got to get it in there, but they whipped it again. And less than 10 seconds remaining on the clock. Can Ghost Stories take this game with a disconnect with one person down? It might look like they do.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What happened? That was crazy. Okay. Pity Clam does not go to Ghost Stories because they say, you know what? We have a player down. We're going to win anyway. They just snuck right in behind them as they were pushing in to get a clam in themselves and were just 2 seconds faster. And that was enough. All the rest of their team jumped in and just poured the clams in. Oh my gosh. And I feel like that whiff, they got to be kicking themselves. That whiff with the last power clam could have changed everything, but they missed. Oh no.
Oh my god! Ghost Stories, despite all odds, a disconnect. The lead not in their favor. The entirety of Sonic Speed Simulator at their basket. Persevere and proceed onward to get a game under their belt, giving us a tiebreaker third game. Wow, what a sneaky play too. Just the entire... God. Throwing that clam in and then just letting the clams fly. That was an absolutely incredible play from Ghost Stories, and it really shows everyone that having a disconnect is not the end. You can still pull it off, and they did.
That was absolutely huge for Ghost Stories right there. Like you said, just the perseverance to keep on going. And it really did come down to like, you can't outpaint them, you can't outnumber them, so you gotta outplay them. And that's exactly what they did. It's like as soon as they had the green light, just like, okay, we don't need our basket, in we go, and just Hail Married it all the way to the victory right there. And so that keeps them in the set. That's gonna bring them to that game 3, and they have another chance to bring their player back in. Now, we did see, like, despite the double splashdown, Sonic Speed has had zero problem breaking into Ghost Stories base, and I feel like that's going to be the big ticket for Tower Control and Hagglefish is how well are you able to like break down those defenses and get in. And even with the double splashdown, Sonic Speed has not been able to, or I guess has not had any problem with that. However, this is Ghost Stories' turn to turn things around because they have been playing with a very strong comp. They just haven't really found a solution to kind of the aggro wiper that's been really opening things up for Sonic Speed.
Absolutely, and I feel like after that incredible one-person down disconnect win from Ghost Stories, they might be looking to turn the Sonic Speedsters into a Ghost Story themselves. Because like you said, you gotta be feeling like incredible after that match, the morale through the roof. And that's probably going to be like... God, oh my God, I'm still reeling from that match. That was insane. let's go right into our third and final game of the set. Same old from Sonic Speedsters here, but I do see we have switched to the Glamour's splatter shot as well as the stamp, the stickers stamp, not the stamp stickers, other way around, which is going to provide a lot of power against that hyper-aggressive sword.
I say it's interesting right here because they're going to be dropping the crab and the zipcaster. I do like the Booyah Bomb pick, however, for tower control. It does lend a lot of that kind of space clearing that they need here. And they already are getting 2 down off of Sonic Speed here and really starting to open things up. A nice hammer play from Mia here, showing Walk that they can come to party as well and looking for a third with the hammer throw. But now they're just going to keep all the space for free and going to be looking for that first checkpoint.
Absolutely looking for that first check indeed. And since we are on Hagglefish Market, that first check is going to be pretty important for them to get through if they can, because Sonic Speed Simulator does end up triple splashdowning their way into taking Ghost Stories out of the equation for now. But they are valiantly fighting back against Sonic Speed Simulator as these two blasters are looking to get each other down. Mia coming in with that wiper, and they are fighting Walk in a wiper battle, and neither of them won, both taking each other out, which means that it seems like both of these teams are somewhat evenly matched right now. 2 down on Ghost Stories, which means that Sonic Speed Simulator is going to be taking the lead under their belt very temporarily, though, because they do end up losing the tower at the moment, leaving that first checkpoint unbroken.
I say, and both of these comps have really focused on just keeping the enemy team away from the tower. Like with the double splashdown, they're able to just completely clear tower. Then we got the Kraken and the Booyah Bomb coming out from Ghost Stories. Just both sides just really trying to play the denial game. But here we go, Ghost Stories with the wipeout off of Sonic Speed Simulator. Going to be pushing in and trying for that first checkpoint once again here. Now, like we do see the Kraken coming in, just getting into these positions, trying to get really deep in to deny them the space to keep that splashdown away from the tower. But unfortunately, that push ends with a wipeout of its own, with Sonic Speed getting back in and getting the space.
Absolutely, and we can see that Sonic Speed Simulator is looking to try and get that lockout position on Ghost Stories, but they do end up going 3 down. It is not over until Ghost Stories says it's over, and with 3 down on either side, they are forced to let that tower go back into the neutral position in mid here. But Ghost Stories is sodaed up and ready to play because they have the tower underneath their possession and they are looking to try and get it as far as they possibly can. The lead differential is not much, especially on tower control. 77-51 now. Sonic Speed Simulator is in the lead, but Ghost Stories is looking for that advantage state. They are looking to take that Hail Mary game 3 from them.
It's still a pretty close, tight match, but so far both these teams have just really been going for the one-on-one play. Just so many fights, so many splats, so many respawns. Just both these teams have been like going at each other, really just taking these fights. And like we see once again, Ghost Story is going 3 down, and Sonic Speed is on the cusp of going at him. But again, 2 members are going down. Just not a single player in this match can stay alive for more than 2 seconds. So this tower will remain above 50 for the time being.
Yeah, it is not looking like we're going to be getting that second check anytime soon to end up going down on Ghost Stories, but they have a special in their possession, and they might be looking for playing that soon. The Kraken coming out now, threatening the members of Sonic Speed Simulator, but we are less than a minute left in the match now. 2 down, 3 down on Sonic Speed Simulator, a wipeout, which means that Ghost Stories' time to shine is now. They need to threaten that that spawn area and make sure that they can get at least past their area, and they do manage to take the lead, and they're still going.
I said that was a huge Booyah Bomb right there. We did see both splashdowns were taken out before they got to the second check, but just having the Booyah Bomb there to really solidify it, and they didn't get past the second checkpoint, but just the fact that they were able to touch it means that it's going to put them at the lead with 20 seconds remaining. Now, all they got to do, they have the Booyah Bomb, they have the Kraken ready to go. All they got to do is stay alive to deny Sonic Speed on that tower, but they have some specials of their own ready to go, and they are looking to take this back, just trying to find any sort of advantage. Splashdown coming out, getting... No, they live the Splashdown, and so with the blaster going down, and... okay, no, they're still going to be living. The Booyah Bomb, there it goes, is going to end the game.
The GG Booyah sealing Ghost Story's fate in this set. Reverse sweeping Sonic Speed Simulator going 2-1. It was not looking good for them in that second match. All odds were against them, and then the sneaky play of the century sealed the win for them and allowed them to show us that incredible game on Game 3. Wow, what a set from both of these teams.
It was so back and forth for the longest time in that last match, but then I think just like the scales were tipping back and forth for so long, but finally it tipped into Ghost Story's favor at just the moment they needed it. Getting the wipe out there, taking out those splashdowns, that's been causing them so much problems for the majority of that match, and having the Booyah Bomb ready to go, just once again able to take that corner, keep it away from the tower as they got to there. It was just so well played, and then just having the composure to keep the space, keep the members that they needed to, just to allow the tower to reset to mid, and then just absolutely nuke it, was able to solidify that set for them.
I do want to point out that we were just informed that that insane set for Ghost Stories just put them into Great White, which is incredible. You've got to be feeling good after finding that out.
Oh, absolutely. It's just the deciding set like that, and especially the way that Ghost Stories brought it back, you got to be on that hype.
You got to be on that hype train, dude. A well-fought and earned set, just tooth and nail the entire time. And like you said, perseverance, never giving up in that second set, despite the fact that they were like a disconnect via... They were disconnected via hammer, is what I'm reading here. That they had gotten the hammer thrown at them and then just immediately disconnected, which is unfortunate to say the least, but it's really not at the end of the day because they still won the set. Like...
They took that mentality and really played it to their advantage there. Just again, they didn't let it get them down. They just continued to find the openings that they needed, and the opening they did have, I think it just completely blindsided Sonic Speed, and just the momentum shift kind of threw off their game for the next one.
Absolutely, and with that, I believe we are going to be going into a little bit of a break once again, I'm pretty sure. So make sure to stay hydrated, go to the bathroom if you need to, maybe eat a snack if you're hungry. We will be right back with more SOS coming up. Woo.
And I was like, that's cool.
Hello and welcome back everyone to SOS, our swimmer sink. We are in our top cut bracket, our great white bracket. And of course, bringing it back to the starting line is Ghost Stories versus Reload. Now, we saw Ghost Stories in their triumphant breakout into great white in our last set. But they're back and we're going to be streaming them again, Carney.
Absolutely, and facing off against, like you said, we saw them last time, Ghost Stories, facing off against them is going to be Reload. It is going to be a pretty tough battles ahead of Ghost Stories if they manage to make it, if they do manage to win this set against Reload. We are going to be streaming them again for the third time in a row, so I'm kind of hoping beyond hope that Ghost Stories wins this one solely because I want to see the triple Ghost Stories stream. But let's take a look at these map modes that we have coming up next. It's going to be Splat Zones on Mako Mart, a classic.
I'm trying to remember now. Okay, it's Speed Sonic with the double splash on comp, so we're going to be having Ghost Stories with their classic double sword comp and their rapid blaster as well to kind of bring up the backline here. But they have to contend with not only the carbon roller but also a bamboozler as well, just going completely backlineless on the side of Reload for full aggression, full in your face mode.
Absolutely, and 2 down on Reload in the moment now, as Ghost Stories is going to be taking control of the zone. First, Mia looking for a pick, but not able to get it before that jump out. We are still going now, because it looks like Ghost Stories is trying to keep Reload as far pushed back as they possibly can, which is the play that they want to do now. Mia taking out that bamboozler and looking for I missed and getting I missed as well. That Booyah Bomb looking for one carbon roller, Hammy Sammy, and does not end. It does in fact end up getting them, and we are still going on that zone.
Oh my goodness, they are still on the high from their last set. Now they're just looking to close these out in the first match so quickly. However, with 2 members down, this could spell the end of their hold on zone. And in fact, they're going to lose 2 more, make that 3 once again, as Reload is now taking control of not only the zone, but the map as well.
Absolutely, and we can see those stacks are being controlled by the members of Reload, which is where you exactly want to be now. Sammy is going to be looking for a pick, jumps out just before that Booyah Bomb hits them, and they do end up losing control. And with 3 down, Ghost Stories takes control. A wipeout. Ghost Stories taking control of the zone yet again, like you said, still riding that high from that last match that they played. They must be feeling so good right now. The sodas are up and Ghost Stories is in position to lock out. We're looking like Goldilocks does end up going out, and another, that insane sticker stamp is just going absolutely ham on these poor Reload members.
As to say, like, when with 1 or 2 members down, you know, Ghost Stories had to fall back, but they're showing Reload that with 4 members, they are unstoppable force out here. Booyah Bomb's going to be going out on the side here, but the zone, the Resupply is going to be taking back that zone as it gets down to 9 points. So close to getting the KO, but right now Reload is still in the game. 2 members are down, however, so they have to contend with Ghost Stories, just getting at them from all directions. That double sword is just causing all sorts of havoc for them right now. And once again, Ghost Stories has retaken that zone.
Absolutely. Reload has an entire mountain to work through if they want to take that lead away from Ghost Stories. And with 2 down on either side now, Reload just consistently have members going down over and over again. I don't want to call it staggering, but the numbers really are not lying. They've been pushed back into their spawn for most of the game. They're looking for that Reef Cheese again, and they do end up taking it, but that Booyah Bomb shortly after does look like it flips the zone back into neutral. The Super Chumps are going to be going out now, but Reload is 3 down. Only that 52 is left remaining, and they are looking for picks and unable to get any before they do end up going down, which means that Ghost Stories is once again in control of the zone.
I see that reslide has been the only thing really keeping Reload in this game so far, just absolutely clutching up anytime that Ghost Stories comes close to getting the KO. That can only bring them so far. They do manage to get the cap once again, but are losing 2 of their members, and it goes directly back to Ghost Stories. Now, okay, 3 members of Reload are down, and just they can't contend with like that double sword. Just the amount of aggression that Ghost Stories are showing here, even like the reslide and all the specials that they're throwing at them, just can't keep them out.
Absolutely, and with that crab sitting pretty on the stacks, it's looking like somehow Reload does take control of the zone. It's a delayed 3 down on Ghost Stories, which is not good. Less than a minute left on the clock now. Reload taking control of the zone, working through those penalty ticks, is looking like they want to take that lead from them at any possible cost. Ghost Stories on the back foot now. We are ticking down the zone as we speak. They need to get control of this zone lest they give way for an overtime win. Ghost Stories a little bit too overconfident in their pushing power. They really are on the back foot.
So this is Reload's longest push so far, and it's getting dangerously close to retaking that lead, but with 10 seconds remaining, they're going to be going 3 down as Ghost Stories pushes right back in. It looked like Reload have been able to hold them out, but just that, oh my goodness, and we get the triple from the crab to close things out, and a very dominant hold from Ghost Stories, taking game 1 and showing why they deserve to be in Great White.
Wow! The triple crab kill at the very end there from Maria, doing a really excellent job. Like I said, popping the crab on the stacks on Mako Mart is where it's at. And Ghost Stories just showing a really dominant play time and time again during this whole set. It's just been absolutely chaotic for Reload against these guys because they were going down and down and down, and they almost had the lead within their grasp, and Ghost Stories clutched up and they got the lead back under control and just made sure that Reload could not get the zone underneath their possession again, which means that we are going to be going into our Rainmaker Museum de Alfonsino match. Now, we saw Ghost Stories and how they performed during that Museum de Alfonsino Clam Blitz match, but I'm curious to see how Rainmaker is going to be changing their performance at, if anything, during this.
I was gonna say, like, when they were in the last set against Sonic Speed, like, they were overwhelmed on Splat Zones. They were the ones that were constantly on the back foot, and Sonic Speed, I think, took it in a 100-0 push, and just they couldn't contend with it. But we saw in this other match that they were now the ones that were pushing Reload out of the zone. They're pushing them back, and then when it came down to Clam Blitz on Museum, it was a lot more even against Sonic Speed. So I imagine, like, what's it going to look like now that they have the upper hand going into the second match? Will we see the same kind of speed and aggression from this zone on Mako, or is this going to be Reload's turn to kind of turn the tables on them?
And because we are still in best of 3 territory, we are now at match point for Ghost Stories. Again, they must be feeling excellent, just sneaking into Great White and then absolutely demolishing Reload in that first match. I'm really hoping we see another explosive match like the last game that we had with Reload and Ghost Stories, but it could honestly be anyone's game because during the Museum Clam Blitz match, it was a lot of back and forth, and they only really managed to just sneak on through with that clam and dunk it. But let's see if these comps have changed any in response, and I do see a couple new ones. Ooh.
Oh wow. Okay. So we have a complete mix-up on the side of Reload here. Not only are we seeing that bamboo swap to a charger, we're going to be seeing the decap coming out as well to bring some sword power to the table, and then that bucket going to be bringing the crab to kind of contend with the splash from Ghost Stories here, just completely upping the range game here to try to get some more space.
Absolutely, and I do want to point out that Hammy Sammy, the roller player, has switched out for this match. in favor of, I believe, Timmy on that Horns Dreadringer, which is going to be packing a serious punch on this Rainmaker match. And like you said, we have a double crab comp from Reload, which is going to be very, very strong on Museum de Alfonsino. It is looking like, I believe, Reload takes the Rainmaker and just dunks it into that checkpoint behind Ghost Story's back. Missed on the spinner there, just trying to get a little bit past that checkpoint. They do end up doing so, and now Ghost Stories is going to be popping that crab on the spinner like they should be doing, and hopefully looking for an advantage state to dunk the Rainmaker into the checkpoint and make it a little bit farther than Reload did.
I was gonna say that was almost exactly the same situation we saw Ghost Stories in from the last game, except this time they were the ones all pushed up onto Reload's plat and just got absolutely snuck around from behind here. Unfortunately, they're not quite able to get the checkpoint themselves here. Just the last couple of players from Reload able to just keep the pressure on here. Second crab coming out, dodging the stamp, and they're going to get a 3 down on top of that, keeping, oh no, they do lose the checkpoint, but still maintain the lead.
Absolutely. The crab tank did prevent Ghost Stories from going any farther, but Mia is still on the platform and alive and kicking somehow, which means that the rest of Ghost Stories has the chance to move forward as much as they can, and they do end up taking a 1-point lead. Now it is their chance to break free. 54-43, they're in the lead now with that crab tank to back them up, and X-Man up on the bats, just doing the absolute lion's share of the aggression as the Rainmaker moves even farther forward.
So we saw the Charger was just so oppressive up there on their snipe right there, but then X-Men just went in and took them out, and then that just opened things up completely for Ghost Stories. They're able to run it all the way down to 16, and they still are all over Reload's plat right now. The only thing going to be stopping this push is Timmy here dropping the Rainmaker down into court, but with 2 members down, they have such a disadvantage right now. Just the amount of pressure that Ghost Stories is putting on them is that they're eventually going to crack.
Absolutely. And with 3 going down on Reload, now it is Ghost Stories' time to shine as they push forward, looking possibly for that lockout scenario here, because the Rainmaker is in a very inopportune spot for Ghost Stories to pick up and move forward, because that would mean turning their back on enemy territory, which is not something that you want to do on Museum de Alfonsino. Aria getting a clean pick on that crab there, while Mia just really going nuts on that sword does end up going down, and Ghost Stories is looking like they're going to be pushed a little bit off of plat, but Aria is by the Rainmaker. I can only wonder if they're planning on popping it anytime soon, or since they have control of that plat and spinner area, if they're just gonna let it sit there, which is probably the ideal situation.
I say at this point, like, both teams, like, the only way that this game state is going to change is one of them has to get a complete wipe. You know, on the side of Ghost Stories, the only thing that's, like, with a 16-point lead, the only thing that's going to be advantageous for them is to completely wipe them out for them to get that Rainmaker. But on the same side, Reload, like, even with 1 member of Ghost Stories on their plat, has been such an issue for them. They have not been able to break out, and just the amount of jumps and free space they've been able to get because of that has just been decimating Reload. They have to be able to get a complete wipeout to kind of shake things up and just reset the game state right now. But with 36 seconds left, it's just they don't have a whole lot of time to do that and run the Rainmaker as far as they need to.
Yeah, no, Ghost Stories is not letting Reload breathe for a second. Both of those swords and the hyper-aggressive powers that come with it are just absolutely throwing Reload for a loop, but Mist drops down from behind. It's looking like they are gonna try and grab that Rainmaker. Timmy picking it up and looking to rush it forward in the last 10 seconds of the match. They're looking for the impossible, for a miracle overtime win scenario, and it is not looking good, because X-Man coming in with that Zipcaster knocks Reload out of the park, which means that Ghost Stories is going to be moving forward in Great White.
Oh my goodness, just
holy cow.
For a second there, it felt like Reload was kind of on even footing with Ghost Stories in this match, but then as soon as they had that breakaway push, it was just a complete stall game for them. They didn't need to pick it up. They didn't need to touch it. It was in the exact spot that they wanted it to be in, so they just played for the long haul. They played for time at that point and just were just really a thorn in Reload's side. Like I said before, just even with one member up, it just was enough to kind of keep Reload from getting any sort of organized push out into mid here, and that just really played into I said their name like 5 times right now. I'm blanking on their name. Ghost Stories' favor.
I 100% agree with you on that. Reload just had such a hard time dealing with the double sword comp from Ghost Stories and the hyper aggression that comes with it. But with that, unfortunately, we do not have any more time for analysis. I believe our time is up here on this first block, unless I think it is. I'm pretty sure. Yes, I'm pretty sure that we are going into our next group of commentators really quick, but thank you all for having us for this first block. My name is Carney. You can find me on carnify.bsky.social or on any of the Splatoon tournament channels that you see me on, if you know me.
That's right, and we are going to be getting that third Ghost Story set, just not with us. But you can find me at IMedGamerII in all the usual places on social media, and also here at IPL doing commentary just like this. But thank you all for hanging out, and thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more action-packed Splatoon content, and we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Swimmer Sync. Next time, this is Swimmer Sync 194. My name is Rocket, and joining me is the one and only Pinky here. We are looking at 4 Pirates versus Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories, of course, we have streams, I believe, twice now up until this point here. Here's the 3rd time.
Yeah, I've heard, a little bird has told me that there's a lot of Ghost Stories fans out there, so you know, hopefully we're in for 3 back-to-back bangers from the Ghost Stories. Seems like they've been doing it pretty well for themselves, but I believe they're going up against seed number 1 right now in the form of 4 Pirates, so they got their work cut out for them for sure.
100%. This is going to be their true test for sure. I mean, obviously the honor of being that 1st seed is you're facing the lower seed here, so you will have a little bit of that, maybe say little bit of mind games, if you will, here for Ghost Stories. But hey, if you're able to prove everyone wrong, kind of prove to be that Cinderella run, we are all here for it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the previous set, Ghost Stories ran a very interesting comp, kind of running that Rapid as their backline. I believe it was that Cooler Rapid as well.
Ooh, I've been dying to see some good Cooler Rapid gameplay. I'd love to see it with some VDapple, but I don't know if that's quite what Ghost Stories is rocking. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do a ton of research for this. Maybe I'm just saying exactly what Ghost Story's been running, but the new Rapid is such a cool weapon in my opinion, and I love to see new cooler options pop off.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, it could be just the nature of the previous game that was played. I was able to catch a little bit of the end of that previous set. Ghost Stories, I believe, ran like double sword. They ran wiper and a stamper. So a very aggressive comp given the map mode. Now, again, I will preface this. It was Clam Blitz. You can kind of get away with playing a lot more front forward, a little bit more aggressive here. But I mean, with a little bit of a more balanced map, we'll see how let's see how it shapes out, as you will. But speaking of that first map, we're going to be going to Spot Zone's Mahi for our first one.
Yeah, I mean, we got 3 classic map modes here back to back to back. We got Zones Mahi, Tower Inkblot, Rainmaker Undertow. I mean, it's kind of like it's among the more picturesque maps for each mode. I feel like Zones Mahi is a bit more debatable, but Tower Inkblot, Rainmaker Undertow, it's about as good as you get, pretty much.
Yes, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're actually starting on Zones Umami, at least according to Sendu. Not 100%. But if it is Zones Umami, that would provide a lot more of a, I feel like, seesaw type game. I mean, obviously, ranked in general, you have your seesaw game of just zones in general, just being like very flip-flop. If you're able to kind of control these key positions, you're able to kind of just lean it a lot more into your favor. But Umami Ruins, obviously, with the quirk of it being a 2-zone map, it's going to be a lot more difficult to kind of get that space in your favor, and it's really, really easy to just kind of contest one of those zones if you're allowed the space to do so. So I feel like that's what these teams kind of need to focus up on, really control those key points to really kind of just lock out the other team. And that key point on Umami would be kind of like that elbow area near that tower.
For sure. I mean, honestly, I feel like Umami is probably one of the least seesaw zones maps, so to speak. Just because, like, at least in the comp scene, because I feel like it's pretty easy to get one zone capped, but to get them both held at the same time, really quite difficult. So I feel like it's not too uncommon that teams will try to break out of the lockout, get one zone, and then get wiped, and then just have to start from scratch. So I feel like just really long holds happen on this map a lot more often just because of that split zone nature, because it's so hard to impact the far side of zone because it's such a small little sliver behind the entire middle of the map. So this is it really tests how well you can do a coordinated push and a 2-pronged assault on either side of mid here. So it's going to be an interesting one to start things out.
Yeah, and to kind of talk a little bit about 4 Pirates, I know we were talking about Ghost Stories a little bit, just a little bit of information here. It is a pickup between actually 2 teams. It is a pickup between Stranded, having Prosper and Trayshawn, and on the other side, Shush with Goliath and Joe. So those are your 2 teams kind of making up 4 Pirates here, coming together. And just taking a quick look at maybe some weapons, kind of start speculating some things here. I do see another cooler Rapid there. Goliath does have the potential to play it. So if we could see, now this might be copium or just maybe some request of fan service, if you will. Maybe we could see a true 8-player game of just maybe their backlines are both that cooler Rapid, maybe down with the edit and pen. Who knows?
I mean, look, I know it's summertime, but I would love a good winter Rapid, to sort of break at the pace a little bit. That'd be so fire. A winter Rapid battle in the Big 25 would be pretty sick. I think you got to agree.
Oh, for sure. I mean, kind of to add on to your point of needing to see winter here. I mean, me and you both know in Texas, we definitely need it right now. Like, holy smokes.
Okay. You know what? Maybe Texas doesn't need winter. We need cold, but the infrastructure, it's been not holding up very well the last 5 years. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get the lucky number 6. Who knows?
Who knows?
Or maybe we all get a good fun trip to Cancun.
Hopefully. That's the
like,
goal. That's the goal.
like a nice dad, you know?
Yes, of course. But I mean, that's where these two teams don't want to be sent to Cancun. They want to continue on this tournament.
They want to
keep their
in the
hopes
sandy
alive.
ruins of E.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, we have a zones and then a clams and then a zones. So I mean, if you're able to kind of get control of this set pretty early, we're going to be set to clams in game 2. Still kind of waiting on these teams to kind of just set up their lobbies here just to kind of see what we can expect. But I mean, what else do you have really for Umami in general, Pinky?
I mean, it is a very weird map. I kind of feel like they made Umami and then they looked at all the bad things about Umami and then they made brine water and fixed a lot of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they had the idea of like the lower left drop area and like the weird shape, like 90-degree turnout of spawn, like that, like the dome area is kind of analogous to the Platinum Barnacle. Like, I don't know. I look at both of them side by side and I'm like, I feel like brine water is kind of an improvement on Umami. But
I can see it. I mean, brine water, you have the just immediate drop into zone, just this like slaughter fest that is. I mean, I have my own gripes with brine water just being like charger duels, but that's besides.
But no, brine water's so awesome. I love infinite sightlines. Personally, I think they're awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome that it's not included in the map pool. It's too good for this tournament, apparently. So
yeah, I mean, hey, I just remember brine water is the OG pen map of like, yeah, you know, pencil's not great, but like it can cook on brine water and mincemeat, and then it started cooking a little too hard.
Might have been chefing up too much. That's why they added rapid, and that's why we'll be seeing double rapid. I am going to manifest it here.
Precisely, we're gonna manifest
Absolutely. But yes, just seeing
game one of rapid v rapid.
That is the hope. That is the hope. In
dang it!
No, I mean, you have your pen there. I mean, and
okay, there we go.
Yeah, yep, there you go. That is Ghost Stories right there. Still running that same comp they ran previously.
And we're seeing the Twinkles dualies being picked up by Joe as well, with that bubbler. It's an interesting weapon kit. I haven't seen it much just because it's kind of hard to pick out a niche for that over that decapitator. But Joe going with a dually, but unfortunately 3 go down on the side of 4 pirates, and Ghost Stories is already starting to sing their song a little bit, getting a real push up here, getting these 2 swords just going crazy in the enemy spawn.
Yeah, and then that's kind of the benefit of having a much more aggressive comp coming out from Ghost Stories as opposed to the more balanced one on the other side. You really have these 2 dueling blades really kind of able to kind of take their own fights how they please, being able to get some picks. Actually, the pen goes down for 4 pirates there. So that cooler, I believe, is going to be... actually, no, that cooler was already placed out, so their def didn't really mean too much. However, 4 pirates are a little bit staggered here as Joe tries to make something happen on that right zone, but no, Ghost Stories forced the wipeout here, and we're already at the 50-point mark here, Pinky.
And that's what I was talking about. You know, 4 pirates got one of the zones, got close to capping the other, and then Ghost Stories just kind of, you know, woke up a little bit locked in and got the cap back. And, you know, they didn't even get the penalty stacked on them, even though they lost one of the zones. And that's just something so hard to deal with on this map. And now Ghost Stories close to a knockout, but Arya is going to get crab canceled and dropped off of the map. And now 4 pirates coming back into the swing of things. They're a little more organized in that first push here. They have a player on that top mid as well. They have one zone already so close to getting the cap. There we go. Finally going to apply that penalty. 17 points is where the lead stands, but Ghost Stories still in this game.
Yes, very unfortunate there that falling off of the map did allow 4 pirates to kind of move up with a little bit more confidence, obviously with Ghost Stories being 1 down. But now with cooler being placed here, you have Joe going down on this left side. Now potentially the Splash getting 2. Yes, they will. And with 3 down in total, just left to no, the bucket falls as well. That is a quick wipeout for Ghost Stories, wasting no time really to get back into that zone. Mia on this right side with this wiper is almost a hammer. This could prove really, really deadly if 4 pirates aren't careful, aren't watching here. Here comes the hammer. Will at least cause 4 pirates to kind of stall out and back up a little bit, but still Ghost Stories on a roll here. Molar managing to actually go down early, so this retake is going to be very difficult for 4 pirates.
Yeah, but they do have 3 specials at the ready. Unfortunately, you know, Whale and Bubble not going to be the most helpful on this retake, especially when Zipcaster's already headhunting for the dualies, going to get that pick. Zip is going to find another as well. Arya swimming forth, trying to get the pick on that Gal player, I believe. Not going to be able to find it, but again, stalling for time, and Ghost Stories done with that penalty as well. A few points away from this knock with the dually, trying to contest the zone, but it's not going to be enough on their own, and Ghost Stories keeps the winning streak alive on the stream, taking game 1.
Yeah, and a bit of a surprise, of course, our number 1 Ghost Stories there. Saw that number 1 seed, is like, no, we are the true number 1 seed here, just completely saying to hell with whatever you may project, remove your expectations from us. They rose here, and in a pretty well done fashion as well. I mean, Ghost Stories right off the get-go managing to force, I believe, a 2 or 3 player down situation and just taking the fight right to 4 Pirates, playing at their pace, and ultimately just left 4 Pirates not really that much space to operate. Of course, the unfortunate falling off of the map through the grates did allow 4 Pirates a little bit of an opportunity to get in, but I'm more or less impressed with how fast Ghost Stories are able to kind of just mechanically win these fights.
Yeah, I mean, speed really is the name of this game. I mean, other than Splatoon 3, I guess. But, you know, speed is the name of this competitive game. You really got to play with a good pace, and you have to play up and fast and really take advantage of every micro opportunity you get. And that's something that Ghost Stories did really well. You know, they had a very slight positional advantage at the beginning of that game, and they converted it into 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, and a wipeout so incredibly quickly. And they held on to it for like a full minute and a half thereafter, and just as soon as Ghost Stories, you know, was able to get up and going, they held on to zone really well. And again, they were playing at such a pace that they kind of forced those mistakes to be made by 4 Pirates and kind of forced them to scatter a little bit. So really well done by Ghost Stories in that game 1. But we are moving on to a pretty different scenery here. Game 2 is going to be on Clam Blitz on Scorch Gorge.
Now, you mentioned that fast pace that Ghost Stories is kind of able to play with. This is literally the perfect mode for this. I mean, you want to play fast, you want to be winning these fights. This is what Ghost Stories should thrive in a little bit, even more than they did in the previous one. I mean, my main concern in that previous one was going to be paint control, but I mean, they seem to have it definitely under control here. So let's see if they can continue in game 2. We have in chat, Clam Blitz is here. We are all prepared. Let's see what we got in store for us. And I think 4 Pirates is changing it up on us a little bit.
3 new weapons I see with my eyes. We see the heavy edit mentioned, shout out to Nell. We have the Sticker Sultana Stamper and the Ashen Tri-Slosher, which I haven't seen used since I've been commentating, but I've definitely been theorizing about this weapon. I think it's honestly the strongest tri-kit in this meta. It's so incredibly good. It works with the weapon really well, and we get to see that splatter color screen come out to play as well. So, you know, certain viewers might have to, you know, adjust their, might have to look away from the screen real quick, but it's okay. We're going to get through it together. Unfortunately, though, 4 Pirates not off to a great start, again, in pretty bad disadvantage.
Yeah, and Mia leading the charge unfortunately did go down with that stamp, but look at the amount of space that Ghost Stories was able to move up with. They're already at this elbow area. 1 ball has already made its way into the basket. Another jump is coming in, unfortunately, is camped here. Will they have enough clams to really kind of make this push going? You have 2 picks found by Arya here, just trying to go in. 3 here. Keep it going. Maybe go for the 4th as well, and that will be a delayed wipeout, but I mean, hey, if you think that a splash is just a support shooter, no, it is not right there. Although Ghost Stories weren't able to really capitalize on it that much because they did not have the clams. They might be able to get another push going here, but will it amount to much? It will at least give them a little bit more points to kind of play with.
Yeah, it's going to get that lead down to 68, not much more than that. I do feel for Arya, though. I feel like they were going to get that quad, and then the teammates stole the glory from them just a little bit too quick. But yeah, 68 is where the lead's going to stand. Definitely, you know, within striking distance of 4 Pirates, whenever I play Clam Blitz, I look at that 60-point lead threshold because, you know, it's pretty easy to just jump into power clams. But Ghost Stories has had such a strong advantage throughout this game. It's been looking rough for 4 Pirates. It's edit, though, on the flank, not going to amount to much, unfortunately, other than just a time waster right now. But the basket is still going to be broken here by 4 Pirates, pushing in from the front. They don't have a ton of clams, but they can keep this basket open if the Stamper is able to make its way to the basket. That's going to be close to a lead switch here. There we go, 4 Pirates taking the lead in this game, but that push is going to be dying there at 65 points.
Yeah, now pretty much evened up. Only 2 minutes have passed, and both teams have really gotten their opportunity to kind of trade blows with each other. But this is another underrated thing about Clam Blitz as well. When you push, you need to have that economy in check to kind of make it hurt there. Both teams were able to get in decent scores, yes, but it could have been a lot more dangerous. I know 4 Pirates did have a pity. They're trying to get in, trying to control that space, but unfortunately weren't able to get their jump. So now you see Ghost Stories here trying to make their own push. They will elect to just retreat, live to fight another other day. I think that's a very smart choice. Just trying to see if they can keep that ball and seeing if they can just win this retake on mid.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just playing some good old-fashioned Clambless neutral. You know it, you love it. You've seen it for like 7 years at this point. And we're just kind of waiting for someone to bust a move. Ooh, screen is going to be incapacitating a player briefly on the side of Ghost Stories, but looks like, you know, we're just going to keep with both these teams, trying not to make a mistake, trying not to get too exposed. I mean, 4 Pirates does have the lead technically, but it is such a slim lead that really any push from Ghost Stories will break it, but 2 go down from Ghost Stories in this heavy edit, make its way back into the basket, and this Stamper throwing in another power clam as well. Now Ghost Stories kind of on the ropes here, and we're going to be seeing a jump from this power clam as well. This is close to knockup potential here. 4 Pirates, just a few clams to go, 5 to go, 4 to go, but they get wiped out. 10 points is where the lead stands with a minute 30 left, Rocket.
I mean, yeah, but you'll take that push any day of the week, Pinky. I mean, they really were able to build up that Clam economy and make their push hurt. But speaking of a push hurting here, right back with the counter, already down to 32 points here is Ghost Stories. They do have a pity to work with here, but the players are falling. It doesn't look like anybody's going to really be able to hold up that goal with 3 players down and just Kayla left on this rapid, just running for the hills. There will not be a following push here, but that will gift for Pirates another pity clam to kind of work with here. And yes, they are in the lead, but they are pushing this really, really aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about Ghost Stories' pace, but I feel like right now they're just playing too fast for their own good, and their players are starting to go down before they can have an impact. But now, 4 Pirates, I'm not sure how much I like this play of theirs. They got the basket open, but they didn't really get any, you know, progress in their lead. They just gave Ghost Stories another pity clam to work with on their counter push, and that counter push is starting here and now. 3 are down on the side of 4 Pirates, and this lead is just a few clams away. Mia just has to make their way to the basket, and that's the lead, and that's the knockout. Ghost Stories completes the upset, takes it over 4 Pirates 2-0.
The number 1 seed in this tournament eliminated in round 2, and by the team that we've seen rise up to the occasion on stream 3 times in a row, Ghost Stories. Clean sweep over 4 Pirates there. And you kind of mentioned that that 4 Pirates went in a little bit. I mean, that push was a little bit questionable in terms of you have the lead. Yes, I don't hate it too much in the sense of like, maybe just secure the final blow there. Really just put yourself all the way up, make it unlosable. But there, with forcing that push a little bit too hard, you go a couple players down, 2 players, 3 players down, and really allowed kind of Ghost Stories to really move in, take that space. And I mean, we saw it right there with the wiper basically behind the basket, just really just having free real estate up there.
I think, you know, it's fine to commit to that push, but I think as soon as you see 2 players go down, you gotta jump out and regroup, because that counter push is coming and you need to have that full defense ready for it. And the problem is that 4 Pirates on that last push gave not only the pity clam, but also the entire map to Ghost Stories, because they essentially went full down, or like staggered a little bit. And you know, once Ghost Stories got their hands on the wheel, they never let go until they knocked out in that game. So really well played to Ghost Stories. Really just, they kind of bided their time for an opportunity. I feel like until then, they were just a little bit disorganized. The sword fighting duo was a little bit ahead of the Splash and the Rapid at certain points in that game, but really locked in and really, you know, got things done. So third set on of the stream, and Ghost Stories still making it done. Are we going to see a 4th one in a row though?
Unfortunately not. As much as probably the fans and at least myself want to see that, we need to give someone else the spotlight, of course. I mean,
do we? Come on.
4 is a little absurd, I will say.
There's been 193 of these already. We've given so many players the spotlight. It's fine.
Absolutely. But I mean, hey, we will. I mean, if they keep on this hot streak, I definitely think we'll see them on later. But let's shift our focus here a little bit. We are moving on to round 3, and we have our 4th and 5th seed, respectively, facing off against each other. Return to the 36 Chambers versus TKU Fan Club. Now, who did they face off in the previous round? Well, Return to 36 Chambers got a very clean 2-0 sweep over $6 comms. A very, very stacked team in themselves. On the other side, TKU Fan Club getting a sweep of their own over Orange Juice. So both teams coming off hot, coming into brackets without losing a map yet, but that's going to be soon to change.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have had a pretty strong first round. I mean, you know, as seed 4 and 5 in this tournament, you kind of expect them to float their way into top 8, and they've certainly done so. I'm looking in the group stage right now. TKU Fan Club has not dropped a game yet in this tournament, and neither has our other team, Returned to the 36 Chambers. So, you know, both these teams haven't dropped a game so far in this tournament. Of course, that's going to change for at least one of these teams over the course of this 3-game set. And it looks like we're starting things out on Zone's Mahi Mahi, I believe, for real this time. I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, I think it is Mahi Mahi. And just taking a look, giving a little bit of background on these teams, if you will. TKU Fan Club, I believe both these teams are pickups, just to get that straight. TKU Fan Clubs, they are made up of a couple teams there. You have Ray and Euler coming in from Lego Fortnite. You have Kiki from featuring a +2 player, Sunny a +3 player, and I think Seb Dark, another member of featuring on that side. And on the side of Returning to 36 Chambers, you have a couple of players here and there. I believe 2 of them are on Ray's Raysome Fan Club. That is a name. Ray's Raysome Fan Club. I believe that is Tinny and Sky. Gimme from Pinpoint, and Alwo from featuring as well. Actually, hold on, we're seeing a
we're already in the thick of it here. There's a Dapple Nouveau on the screen. There's a Rattler Mini, ready to Rattler Mini things, and we're seeing Return to the 36 Chambers already getting quick control of this zone. Burst bombing that bucket player on the snipe as well to clear them for a brief moment. Now TKU Fan Club on the verge of having the water dropped on them, which, you know, is a bit of an advantage and disadvantage in this situation. Booyah Bomb going to be popped on the back of the zone, but TKU Fan Club is kind of staggering a little bit, and that water is about to drop here, Rocket.
Yeah, already down to the 50-point mark. This is the nature of Mahi Mahi, really. You have the Stamper going in, managing to find one, unfortunately does go down there, but the trades are there coming in from this Dapple Doolies, and I mean, this is just classic Mahi Mahi here. Already down to the 30-point mark. TKU Fan Club have one final retake to really try to take this. However, you do have their bucket player already went down. Those strikes are going to be very much delayed. So really, you're just left to this Booyah Bomb from Elephant on this left side. See if they can get something going here. Time is ticking down. The Reef Slider coming in. Will it be enough to kind of retake it? It doesn't look like that. And a quick 100-0 is our game 1.
Yeah. It kind of felt like a blink and you miss it. You know, we were talking about all these teams and, you know, all the players that made up of it, and then by the time we looked at the game itself, the game, it was kind of in the beginning of the end a little bit. You know, Return to the 36 Chambers, they got control of that zone. They have that fist bump to cap off a very well played game 1, and, you know, they got control of the zone and they just did not let go until that knockout. It was a complete and utter sweep in that game 1.
Oh no, absolutely. That was so fast. You heard me. I was just looking at their set.
I heard the panic.
And it's already at 50 points. I'm like, hold on, what happened? But yes, a very, very quick 1-0 up already. Return to 36 Chambers. Really, just kind of play to the nature of the map, like I was talking about. That's kind of how Mahi Mahi plays sometimes. You're really able to kind of just, if you're able to really hold on the zone and really just kind of chip from underneath, really get those key picks here and there, you really, really hurt your opponent's retakes. And we saw it there, that bucket with the trip strikes. Those trip strikes would have been really, really vital for TKU to kind of move in with on top of that Booyah Bomb, because just not enough really paint control coming out from that Booyah Bomb really wasn't able to really get into the zone per se. So maybe we could see a little bit of a difference here with a different scenery with TC Undertow.
Yeah, I feel like I have not seen TC Undertow in a very long time, so I'm curious to see, you know, what's up with TC, you know, keeping up with the sewage. What's going on down here in Undertow Spillway for the skin number 2? Tower control, you know, interesting map. It has sort of that what I like to call a welcome mat checkpoint, just right off the spawn that kind of exists only so you can get destroyed by pen players. And, you know, then you have the rest of the map really moving around that left side primarily. That second checkpoint, as per usual on tower control mode, massive bottleneck, but regardless, we're getting right into game number 2 here in the set.
Yeah, you really don't think of tower control in terms of points. You think about them in terms of checkpoints. And kind of taking a look at both sides, you have Return to 36 Chambers actually switching over to the Forge, if I'm not mistaken. They do have that Booyah to really use here. Gimme still sticking on those Dapple Doolies, those ever oppressive Dapple Doolies to kind of just fight back against TKU. On the other side of TKU, no S-Blast, which is really interesting to see on tower control.
Yeah, instead of opting for that Decapitator, I guess, with that bubble. That Forge Pro is in an unfortunate situation, unfortunately. This Dapple player is also going to get taken down by the Neo Splash. very, TKU fan club is running a much more defensive comp than I, usually would have expected on tower control with that Neo Splash and also with that Decapitator, but it's working out for them so far. They got past that first checkpoint, but, that's kind of an introduction to this map. The rest of the meat and the potatoes is going to be towards that 60-point mark, and that's the big threshold we all got to watch out for. But Sunny right now, riding this tower, being a little bit disturbed here by the Stamper, going to be trading out underneath. Wow, it's just a bloodbath on this tower.
Yeah, I believe all 4 members of TKU fan club were right near each other, and with that opportunity, return to 36, we're really able to kind of crunch them down. They forced that wipeout, and we'll get that self-proclaimed welcome mat, like you mentioned. Now, with a little bit more space to kind of work with, Trip Strikes will go out from TKU fan club just to buy themselves some time here. This Reef Slider just going out, just trying to reposition here, and Gimme is now right behind this pen. We'll find one, we'll find 2, and we'll cap off the wipeout as return to 36 will continue to extend this lead.
Yeah, Return to the Chambers is sending these sending TKU fan club right back to their spawn right now, and this Reef Slider so good for the sustain. Somehow gets a pick on the Neo Splash there, cutting off that supply of Tri-Strikes. Decapitator on the flank though, being pincered with that bucket, I believe, but even still, picks are being plucked right now on TKU fan club. They're almost through this third checkpoint at 36 Chambers, so close to getting done, but gonna be stopped there at that 16-point mark. But what an incredible push by Return to the 36 Chambers, getting through the first 2 checkpoints and so close to being done with the last one.
Absolutely, yeah. Not only in the point total, but getting past that kind of slaughterfest that is that second checkpoint. Now, TKU fan club, you need to have the opportunities to kind of push in here. You saw already one of the Trip Strikes being invested, the Neo Splash having the other one is coolered up, just trying to see if they can find an opportunity. However, the Dapples on 36 Chambers just trying to see if they can create any form of disturbance, but still, you have TKU fan club still on the tower here, trying to just work through that second checkpoint.
Yeah, and that second checkpoint is going to be fully worked through, and this bubbler is going to protect this tower for a little tiny sliver of time. Strike's going to keep 36 Chambers disorganized here, and now it's TKU fan club's turn on that last checkpoint, but the fall off from the pro kills the tower rider, and 2 more go down from TKU fan club. So 36 Chambers able to defend their lead, and this is a really close game number 2, 21-16. A lot more progress been put on the tower than I expected.
Yeah, and that was in back-to-back pushes. You saw the 36 Chambers push, and then the counterattack is right there. That Booyah Bomb being canceled from behind is huge for TKU fan club to kind of move in now, not having to really worry about this. You have Dalek just on this left side with Zipcaster, has it's available to use. Will they choose to use it? Decides to kind of shark near that tower, see if they can get something. They will find Kiki. Unfortunately, is traded out here. 2v2 now commencing in mid. This will favor 36 Chambers, though, because remember, they do have the lead. They can really just play defensively for the rest of this game if they so choose.
I mean, in some respects, yeah, you can just play a bit defensively when you have the lead at 16, but I feel like in tower control, it's a bit more effective to just keep that control of the tower, but just keep it in a safe distance where you have that passive special charge at all times, but you're not actively pushing, trying to get that lead and exposing yourself to going down. So it's a bit of a delicate dance, but it's one that I'd imagine 36 Chambers is going to want to try and delve into. And yeah, we're going to be seeing that pen player hopping on and off that tower quite a bit to keep that passive special charge and really just keep this advantage state going for 36 Chambers. The Apple's going to go down on that flank after taking a lot of attention away from this tower, and now we're seeing Sky start to push forward with that pen and just jumping out as soon as they see any danger. And right now, the tower very far away from where TKU fan club wants to push it, and 36 Chambers is still alive, still fighting. The Stamper, though, going to be caught in a bit of a hard place, unable to jump out, but even still, 40 seconds to go. TKU fan club has to start pushing this tower now.
Yes, you do have this pro, though, on this right side, just trying to wait for an opportunity to strike. They have Booyah Bomb available. Dude, elect to actually use it there. Unfortunately for 36 Chambers, they have a disconnect here, so now this is going to be a really huge opportunity for TKU fan club to kind of move in. Now with that number 1 advantage, very unfortunate for 36 Chambers here. Trip Strike's available for TKU fan club to kind of force the issue, but wait, you have the Forge with the Booyah Bomb available now. 8 seconds left. The wipeout will be the sealing of the deal right there. No Booyah Bomb will be had, and in a little bit of an unfortunate fashion because of that disconnect, TKU fan club will manage to get that one back.
Man, I mean, you gotta feel for Return to the 36 Chambers on that one. They were so set up to defend that lead, especially, you know, with that forward to the Puyo bomb. I don't know quite what took it out. Maybe it was just the 6 tri-strikes that were hurled right at that stationary target, but regardless, it's not gonna be enough to get Return to 36 Chambers over that finish line quite yet. So that count is tied 1-1 right now. So we're going into a game 3. So now both these teams have, I guess, you know, lost that streak of an undefeated tournament run so far. So it all comes down to this game 3 on Zone Shipshape.
Yeah, Shipshape zones will be our map, but yes, like you mentioned, 6 trip strikes. Very, very oppressive from TKU Fan Club. I mean, you really have those GG specials to kind of deny that tower control. But not only that, they use it to create so much space. And I mean, we saw it right there. You saw them. Once those strikes went out, you had those players moving in, and that forced the wipeout ultimately. If 36 Chambers were kind of able to kind of survive that a little bit, they would have been able to maybe potentially stop that zone. But obviously being perma 1 down does definitely throw a wrench in your plans. You just got to shake it off though. They were looking very, very poised and in a great position to win that one. So interested to see if we see any weapon changes here. I mean, I do imagine the return of those double trip strikes just because of how oppressive they can be.
Yeah, tri-strikes is an incredibly annoying special in my personal opinion. I've been under the I feel like it's just so incredibly strong. You just chuck out a bunch of tornadoes and it's incredibly unmesswithable, because you just got to deal with it. You just got to deal with the fact that, you know, you're going to lose control of the map for a few seconds, and then you're going to get capitalized on pretty quickly at this level of play. But here we go, game number 3. We're seeing a pretty similar comp coming out here on both sides. We're seeing the Rattler mini coming right back out here for TKU Fan Club.
Zuka spam galore. That is going to be really, really.
I mean, this is the Just React map, so
pretty much. You have Gimme though off rip dying there. No more dualies will be had on 36 Chambers, but the evening picks are out there. 1 for 2 trade will be had as 36 Chambers with numbers advantage are going to force the issue here a little bit. Pen moving up Sky, just trying to see if they can help take out Kiki on that left side. Zuka being popped, but still 36 Chambers do have a little bit of advantage here, just trying to move in.
Yeah, this pen player is playing incredibly aggro positions, and that's what you love to see from a good pen player, to just proactively get that chip damage against those picks. 3 are going to go down here on TKU Fan Club. It's just that Decapitator holding onto that bubbler, and that pen still in mid providing jumps. This duel is just going to reef slider on out of there, and just like in game 1, 36 Chambers already below that 50-point mark, and you know, just the first minute of this game, and they're still holding onto the zone so incredibly strong. Decap forwards to pop bubble very early, and no other specials out there ready, but here comes that Zuka, here comes that Cooler. Strikes are coming very soon to go down on 36 Chambers here, and that's looking like it's going to be a zone flip here for TKU.
Yeah, Euler with a nice double hammer being canceled as well, and forcing the stagger onto 36 Chambers. That is a delayed wipeout there, as 36 Chambers now not really a lot of space to kind of work with here. Euler on this left side just trying to see if they can get up that Zuka uptime here. They are very much cooler, most of TKU Fan Club are, and now it is time to turn the tide of this match. Zuka being popped by Euler. Can they find anything on this left side? Not quite yet, but still they Return of 36 Chambers do have the lead, but they do have the specials to go in with.
Yeah, the shoe kind of is on the other foot now, because TKU Fan Club is the one with a really strong hold, and Return to 36 Chambers trying to find these picks. They're able to find one, but they go 1 down as well from that wiper. Mini goes down though, and it looks like TKU Fan Club is going to be losing the zone here to 36 Chambers. So close to this cap being had. The Pens are fighting for every last square inch of control in the zone of the Force Pro, trying to help out where they can. Soda's being popped here by 36 Chambers to try and just address the morale. 2 go down though. The hammer goes down. It's just a bloodbath in mid right now here, Rocket. So close to this cap and so close to the lead. Something's got to give. It's gonna be 36 Chambers stacking up that penalty.
And it looked like a mini game of turf war just in mid. Everybody not really fighting for a good like 15 seconds. Both sides just throwing everything in the kitchen sink right at the zone here. But even with that zone flip earlier, TKU Fan Club punch right back here. Sunny is almost up to Cooler as well, so this is going to make the hold a little bit easier for TKU Fan Club. Those mistakes will not be punished too severely here, but on the other side, you see the Cooler being popped from 36 Chambers as well. Now both sides are going to really be committing their resources. Gimme somehow gets that re-slider kill and zone pop as well. Booyah Bomb invested as well, and that will allow 36 Chambers to get right back into the zone. 2 minutes remaining left in this match, and so far it's just been a game full of special trading.
It's just the special play on Shipshape is always just I don't know if it's a thing of beauty is the right word, but it's just it's the story of this match every single time. Specials are so strong on this stage, and both these teams know it. Both these teams trying to play to it to the best of their abilities. 36 Chambers closing in on this knockout, though they are done with their penalty. The decaf goes down early, but here it comes. The Tri-Strikes tries to catch the pick on the pen, but is not able to do so, and the zone is looking to be repainted here by 36 Chambers, and now TKU Fan Club doesn't have specials in their name. They cancel the hammer though with a decaf, and they're able to swim fourth. They're getting the cap. 8 points to go. So incredibly clutch here by TKU Fan Club to stack up that penalty, but they're going to go 2 down and going to get seed control of the zone right back.
Yes, they live to fight another day, but return to 36 Chambers are still here in the zone. You have the bucket on this left side, will be forced out. They do have trip strikes to kind of really work with here, so a little bit of an opportunity to push in, but this is going to have to count. Cooler being popped now as well to kind of lessen the penalty for mistakes. Now the trip strikes being invested. Can 36 Chambers hold here? 15 ticks left on this penalty points. Decaf falls early. Hammer being invested, being canceled out, but you see all the members of 36 Chambers just kind of forcing the issue here. The decaf just trying to go in and take out Sky being the last player standing. They will eventually kind of just paint over the zone, but a bunch of players go down. It's just the decaf.
DKU LFN was the one to get the solo cap of the zone by themselves. 36 Chambers was not able to look at the zone in time and keep this game going on for just a little bit longer here, Rocket. We got 20 seconds to go until the guaranteed end of this game, unless TKU Fan Club somehow gets another cap of the zone here. Dapple goes down early, but this Forge knows. Keep hold of this Booyah Bomb. Strikes are going to be coming in from TKU Fan Club. They're going to get the cap here, but the pro holding on to the Booyah Bomb is going to be tossing it. Hammers at the ready as well from this wiper, and the zone is partially painted here. It's gonna go down to overtime, it looks like, but the slider from the back corner going to put it into neutral. The Dapple goes down. The wiper fighting goes down as well. Forge and Pen versus Pen and Decaf trying to get the paint, but the Decaf goes down. It's just the Pen, and that's not gonna be enough for TKU Fan Club. Return to 36 Chambers is able to barely get that game 3.
I feel like just in mid there, it was kind of just like watching a gladiator bloodbath. Just everybody in those final moments just taking those individual fights, just desperately trying to paint over the zone in their own team's favor. And Return to 36 Chambers just able to edge out TKU Fan Club. And I feel like that was in parts to remember that Pen solo holding, I believe it was Sky from 36 Chambers, just by themselves, just managing to sidestep the decav, and that little bit of time really allowed them to kind of move in here. Taking a look at our bracket for Great White here in total, you see 36 Chambers, who we just saw won there, will move on to the next round, and we will also see, unfortunately, that Ghost Stories did fall 0-2.
It's because we didn't stream them. If we streamed Ghost Stories, they would have won. They would have still been in this bracket. I'm sorry, Carney. This is our fault. This is our fault.
Of course.
On the other side of the bracket, we're seeing Pathway getting the win over seed 41 Uber Gay, somehow making this way into Great White. There we go. Uber Gay as the seed 41. I believe 9 lives 1 zone is the seed 40. Both making their way into top 8 of this tournament. Super huge props to both of them. You know, this is a rough bracket, and they were able to make some pretty big plays as some of the lower seeds in this tournament. But Pathway and Cheese able to get their respective wins over them 2-0. So Pathway and Cheese, I believe, are going to be the semi set we are looking at. But yeah, we only got 4 teams left in this bracket, and that means, Rocket, we are back in best of 5 territory.
Best of 5 territory. This is where things take a step up. This is where the intensity steps up a notch, not only because these are the best of the best, like you mentioned, Final 4 stand, but this is really where these sets become very much more tactically focused in terms of kind of, okay, how can we adjust to our opponents? You are given a little bit more time to kind of do the tango with the other team, if you so will. Just try to see their tendencies, kind of see what they throw at you, and adapting is so important in these longer sets.
Yeah, you know, you have a lot more time to adapt, especially in a best of 3. I feel like in a best of 3 you just have to run your game plan, and a lot of the adaptation is going to be mid game of like, oh, you know, this is where the Carbon likes to shark from, or this is where the Splash likes to pop the crab from. But in a longer best of 5 set, you can really get a much better read on just sort of players and play styles and team compositions that you don't really have time for in best of 3. So it's a lot more, it's a lot, it's I don't know how to describe it other than it's a bigger game you're looking at, because there's just so much more Splatoon to be played in this best of 5 set. Starting once again on zones, this time on Barnacle and Dime here.
Barnacle and Dime, a very flat mode, map mode, really a lot of space to kind of really work with near the zone. Obviously, key points for this map are going to be those plat positions that you're really trying to hold. If you're able to get advantage onto the zone and really take that high ground, you're able to kind of create the space you need to force the other team to invest resources to get that plat back before they can really get into the zone here. But no more speculation. We're going to take a quick look at our weapon comps here. I did see that stickered up Stampers.
Whoa.
We'll have a Booyah Bomb combined with a Carbon. And on the other side, very similar comp as there's another Carbon.
Wait, Penn Jr. Carbon on both teams, and the only difference is the sticker Splatoon Stamper on Pathway and the order bucket on Cheese that goes down immediately to start off this game. And Pathway already finding that pathway to get that zone cap early, and Cheese already on the back foot here in this game 1.
Yes, here Bubble is available to kind of maybe create some space later on once the rest of the team is there. Splatsy just kind of waiting for that opportunity, seeing if they can pressure that Stamp a little bit, but unfortunately goes down to that bomb. 2 players in total now, 3 fall on the side of Cheese, just left to that bucket, and that is a wipeout. Those trip strikes that bucket had will be staggered here, so now a little bit of an opportunity for Pathway to just kind of make this lead even larger.
Yeah, I mean, right now the lead is starting to grow. We've seen a lot of strong zones games so far in the stream, and it's looking like Pathway is ready to show us yet another one here, but they're playing at a bit of a numbers disadvantage, and that's going to immediately lead to a zone cap. Unfortunately here for Pathway, Cheese getting right back into the thick of it, getting 3 down on Pathway, just going to be the pen player up, and they're starting to move forward, starting to get this control, and this plat area is so incredibly important to maintain on this offense. So it's really going to be the make or break position, especially with how good the sightlines are from that position with the pencil.
Yes, but paint control here not only is very important for the zone, it is very important for each respective team's Carbon. It really creates so much space to really work with. It aptly named Bonk on Carbon here, really just illustrating what that Carbon can do. Man, bazooka, don't even need it. I just manifested that, I guess. Bonk, really nicely done. Will open things up for Pathway here to move in.
I was committed to making that bonk noise anyway, and they got a double regardless, so that was really worked out, I guess. Pathway already back in control of the zone, but Cheese, they had a really solid push down to 42. They're definitely still in this game, but the pen goes down before they can supply the tactical, I believe. Carbon popping the Zuka, but not able to find any picks. Now the bucket has the tri-strikes, and if you're on Cheese right now, this is the big moment where you have to really get the most out of your specials here and now, because the clock is ticking, time is running out. Pathway done with their penalty, so close to that knockout threshold here. Strikes and Booyah are going to be exchanged here. The bubble is such a great defensive position. Double bubble on this map right now. Zuka not able to do a thing in the face of that bubble, but Pathway holds onto the zone and gets the knockout here in game 1.
Yeah, that zone control just a little too much as Pathway took things right from the get-go. I mean, they were able to kind of take that initial team fight win in mid and was able to really run it all the way, I believe, down to near the 40-point mark, and some lucky bombs here and there denied some specials, really gave them the space to really work up. And then of course we saw right there Bonk with the double with that Zuka just allowed them to retake that so well. And sometimes this is how the cards fall, and as we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the set, Pinky, we have a long set, best of 5, just shake it off. We move on to game 2 where Cheese has an opportunity to try to equalize it.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, for a team named Cheese. I didn't see a whole lot of Cheese in that game number 1, maybe because that Carbon's a rat, maybe that's the idea behind it, but I was hoping to see some Dreadringer personally. I love to see a good Dreadringer, and to just pop that Reef Slider, it takes a ton of skill each and every time, and that's what I would love to see. But regardless, game 2 on Rainmaker Undertow, one of, if not my personal favorite map modes in this game. I know I'm kind of alone in that sentiment, but I think this map is super fun. I know the Carbon rollers are going to have a ton of fun on this one, because you can just shark literally anywhere on this map and get infinite value. So that's going to be something to watch out for.
I have some really funny memories with this. FTIU, I think you were there. Funny stuff with Rainmaker. So I think of this map very fondly.
I love a good funny stuff.
Absolutely. And try to see if we can manifest it here again. Who knows? I mean, this is the type of level where you see that very, very rarely. I mean, both teams are going to be on that for sure. But who knows? This is the most, I argue, this is one of the most volatile game modes just because of you need players in front of the Rainmaker. You need to be there because all it takes is somebody to just have the awareness to say, hey, I can just take this left, or like, hey, I can just get this checkpoint for free and just kind of steal it from under your nose. But we're going to game 2 here. Let's see what these teams have for us.
I feel like this map is either like the most one-sided beatdown of all time, or no one breaks a checkpoint for 5 minutes. We all just kind of cry a little bit. But regardless, the duality of man, really. But same commentary from either side. We're still seeing Penn Junior Carbon on both sides, which, man, that is still kind of throwing me for a loop. And we're seeing Pathway already rolling up that yellow carpet here on this left side, trying to get the way to the checkpoint and narrowly avoids disaster from that bomb, and is able to find a pick to clear this way a little bit more. But they're going to be the last one alive, just trying to run toward this checkpoint, run and gun it. There's no one in the way. The bomb just in time, and now the teammates are here. Great awareness. Who good picks him up anyway.
Yeah, unfortunate there. A clear pathway was potentially open for that checkpoint pop, but really nice bomb placements, like you mentioned there, to kind of just stall that out a little bit. 45 seconds pass. That initial team fight was won by Pathway here, and now they try to see if they can get up this left side. That Carbon Bonk will manage to get the better of their counterparts there. You have the Junior moving up as well to kind of create this space. Nick is inside the bubble, managing to take out that Junior with the Rainmaker being killed as well. It actually turns it on its head as Cheese go 4 players down. That is a delayed wipeout, as Pathway were able to kind of recover from that really nicely.
Yeah, and now that the checkpoint's broken, this is very scary territory for Cheese here. Pathway just has a clear path towards that knockout pedestal, and they're going to go right for it. Ant swims forward. He gets the lead down to 18. Nice shots from that pencil that was going to be able to stop that push right in his tracks. And Bonk having a little bit of a hard time moving forward here. They're able to get the bonk on another player, running away from that enemy Carbon and just putting on so much pressure just by existing in this area. We have a Carbon battle in the spawn of Undertow Spillway, and it goes in favor of Bonk.
Really nicely done there to keep control of that elbow, but I mean, you have Cheese smartly taking the decision to say, nah, I'm good, I'm not gonna go fight that Carbon, taking it down mid here, just trying to see if they can get some space going. Now, especially since that sword is taken out, that 4v3 will commence on this left side here. Doesn't look like any players from Pathway are kind of able to kind of hold this, and kind of wraps back to what I mentioned. You need to get in front of that Rainmaker. You have Bonk here on this flank with that Zuka. Alice will find one, but with that, 3 players will fall.
This game is so silly. This is the atomic bomb of the Zuka from the other side of the map. It's just, it comes crashing down on your head whether you like it or not. That's the beautiful thing about Splatoon 3. No matter who you are, no matter where you stand, Trizuka is out for blood, and it's going to get you whether you like it or not. But now Pathway just has his Maker in this little corner. They're content to hold it here. This is a really annoying spot to get the Rainmaker out of, and Pathway knows it. That's why they took it there.
Yes, here, a little bit less than half the match to be played. Fish now has a Zuka of their own. Can they get some value out of it? Yes, they will. They will find one onto that Stamper here. Seeing if they can just poke out that right side as they push up left, trying to see if they can pressure out that Pen here. You have Splat T on this left side, just trying to see if they can get control for their team here. But still, a lot of pressure on Cheese to kind of move forward here. Pathway have no reason to really move up anything. Both teams are out of their initial first checkpoint, so it's going to be a long way to go for Cheese to kind of move in. You have Pathway, though, trying to see if they can just get more points on the board by taking it left.
Yeah, getting more points on the board, and also just moving the Rainmaker physically farther away from where, Cheese wants to move it, so they have to move farther physically to get that lead, which is a good strategy here. And now, this Rainmaker's in a good spot right now, and just Pathway's content to sit here and start spawn camping a little bit. But 2 go down pretty quickly here. A third's going to go down on the side of Pathway. So Cheese able to get that defense here. A minute 20 left on this clock. So definitely a window of opportunity for Cheese to take this, especially with checkpoints down. But it is not going to be easy. Undertow is going to make you work to get a lead past 9. But already the Vish is going to start getting things going, getting that pick with that ledge camp.
Yes, and now kind of set themselves up nicely on that left side. They actually choose to retreat here just to see if they can get the Zuka, but Bonk is on that right side, seeing if they can threaten here. Carbon v Carbon part 2, maybe, as actually Bonk will kind of just retreat back, live to fight another day. You saw that Pathway were able to force that hold here onto mid, as although Cheese were able to get that wipeout earlier, they are just now picking up that Rainmaker. 40 seconds remaining here, all the pressure on Cheese to move forward.
Yeah, and now Anon is the one holding on to this Rainmaker, just trying to get, control on both sides here, but the Junior and Carbon are both down. It's just going to be this bucket holding on to those strikes, and as soon as the strikes are popped, that's one less player able to actively defend this Maker. Anon still staying alive somehow, but not making any progress, and there's only 30 seconds left on the Maker timer to go down to the bomb in that collateral. I think there's enough time for Cheese to get the pop on this Maker and get overtime started, but they gotta focus it. Bonk is gonna go down, losing that Carbon War, unfortunately, there for them, but Pathway might not have to worry about overtime. No, the bombs were able to get the pop on the Maker. It's gonna be grabbed here, but camped immediately by that bomb. So well placed and well timed by Pathway to take game number 2.
I can just imagine they are counting in their head 3, 2, 1. You got to pick up that Rainmaker if you're on the side of Cheese. And just like you mentioned, right place, right time, right bomb was able to shut down Cheese there. Not only on that earlier push, that attempted push by Cheese, managing to find 2, but that one to seal the deal. We love ourselves a little bit of Splat Bomb spam and Rainmaker. It's always fun being that one with the Rainmaker and just rocking through a minefield.
Sorry, who's this we you speak of? Are we talking about like the Nintendo codename Revolution? Like what are we talking about?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Isn't it always fun to just always get pelted by everything as the entire game?
If you look at my avatar, you'll see that there's a certain weapon in the hands of my avatar that might not be the biggest fan of Splattershot Jr. It's really up to interpretation, I suppose.
I always think of like that one meme of the ninja throwing the brick, and that's how I always think of it.
I think of Eminem throwing the brick.
Yes, here, take this Splat Bomb. And yeah, I mean, just sometimes though, just being in the right positionings as well. Some of it is definitely luck for sure, but I mean, just being in the right position to kind of hold up there and really being able to get these angles was really what allowed Pathway to get those picks to begin with. So a little bit of luck meets a little bit of nice positioning, and there you go, you get the nice kill. A little bit of a Blue Lock reference is what I just accidentally made. Oops. But anyways, regardless, we're moving to Clam Blitz Museum.
It's crazy because when you were counting down, I was thinking about that part in the Cowboy Bebop opening where there's like 3, 2, 1, let's jam. That's what was going through my head. A little bit of brain rot. In fact, oh my god, things are getting more similar by the second. The bucket is switched to a normal Splatana Stamper without the sticker, with the better kit, but also much harder to play. So is it really better? And we're on Clam Blitz on Museum Delfoncino, which is, if you liked Clam Blitz neutral in that Scorch Gorge game, you're gonna love this map mode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I see either pen drop off that that little platform there, I'm gonna riot. Because that's not where you're supposed to be. This is definitely, we all know where we need to be. You have it here, right? Anon is on this left side, now being protected by that bubble as well. Not being protected much longer, actually, as now they have 2 members of a lot of members of Pathway kind of moving forward here. You have them going up this left side, and it looks like they might be able to get something on the board if they're able to get the clams there. No, Fish manages to get 1.
Yeah, managed to get the pen that left their home. It's you can never leave home. It's dangerous to go alone in this economy, unfortunately. Lead is going to be down to 62 here for Pathway, but they're able to get that first basket breaker. Not below that 60-point threshold quite yet. Carbon not close enough to make those clam throws, but it's still going to get the nice bonk onto Nick. Trying to, oh my god, and gets a bonk onto the Fish as well. And a triple bonk onto Splat T, trying to get the last one onto that pen. This Carbon player is just going absolutely insane. Bonks galore, but they're going to be the last one alive here on their team and probably force a retreat.
Yes, trying to be a little bit sneaky there. Unfortunately, now finally snuffed out. It is Cheese's turn to kind of move up here on this right side with the ramp. Fish just using that Zuka to see if they can just corner out to the players of Pathway to just see if they can move forward here. But you have 2 players going down, the pen and the sword, giving a little bit more pressure on these shorter range weapons such as Splat T on this Junior, just trying to see if they can hold any space here. They do manage to somehow escape that with 5 clams to their name, live to fight another day, but a very fast retake onto mid for Pathway. They now have control of most of the map, and that allows them to really kind of build up their Clam economy now.
Yeah, Pathway's kind of been in control of this game in control for pretty much the entire set. And that's looking no different in this game 3. And reminder, they're up 2-0. They need one more game to be moving on to grand finals of Swimmer Sync 194. And they're putting themselves in a pretty great position to get there. They have the basket open yet again. Oof. The Carbon Bonk is able to get the pick with the Zuka as well. They have the Clam economy, but they're not going to force themselves in. You know, they're saying we'd rather stay alive, keep our numbers up, and keep this advantage going as long as possible than risk going forward and risk dying to, you know, silly mistakes on the enemy spinner. Where Anon is able to patrol so much with the pen, but gets the pick on the enemy pen. The power claim is going to be saved there by that teammate, but, you know, Pathway, I feel like it's just kind of trying to waste time on the clock as much as possible. And although it's a bit risky with where the lead stands right now, it's definitely a good strategy considering how much they're denying Cheats from making any progress toward the objective.
Yeah, but I mean, 60 is that magical number. You mentioned it in the previous set on Scourge. An unfortunate pick onto Bonk there. I believe that stray bomb hit that shield and allowed the Bonk to get taken out here. The jump will be camped, yes, but still, the point totals is there. Speckazu managing to find one on that ramp here. Booyah Bomb is available, but that basket will be closed. Now, Pathway can breathe a little bit easier, though, as they're under that so destined threshold. On the other side, Fish gets 3.
Can you breathe easy with this carbon roller in the game?
Ooh,
I think not, and neither does Cheese. There we go, Anon swimming forth with that power claim, trying to stay back though, not being quite as aggressive as they could be. They're gonna get caught up by Bonk. They're able to throw the cooler down in time, but Bonk is finally gonna go down. But in the meantime, 3 players on Cheese go down. A disastrous mishandling of that push opportunity is going to result in Pathway holding onto their lead very strongly. 77s where Cheese was able to push it, and now, you know, they're not even in striking distance of a power claim. They need even more work than that to get this lead in their hands and to stay alive in the set.
Yeah, Clam Blitz requires so much coordination. You saw that little bit of miscommunication between Anon and Fish. Anon throwing that ball, trying to see if they can get it to Fish, but threw it into the loving arms of the other Carbon here. Bonk just kind of stands still for a little bit.
Oh, Bonk.
I don't remember Carbon able to do that, but hey, that might be how Bonk is able to play the game.
Oh,
there goes
no.
Bonk. That is so unfortunate. Now, with 40 seconds left, can Pathway hold on here? They do have a little bit of a lead. They do force the 2-player down situation, but it's not a very safe lead.
Yeah, I mean, as Sendo once said back all the way to Splatoon 1, there were some curious things going on in that game, but it resulted in Bonk unfortunately DCing the People's Champ. Not going to see this match through to the end, but Pathway still in a great spot to take this game, even in spite of a 3v4. They got the 2 down, and now, you know, including overtime, there's 30 seconds left in this game. Cheese has the Clam economy. They have 2 power claims. The Stabber pops Booyah too early, though. They're not going to have that for their push. Anon is going to be juggling these power claims here. They only need 2 power claims to get this lead, and they have 20 seconds to do so here as that overtime is going to begin. The Junior goes down early. Anon trying to take the fast lane through the spinner, but the Stabber going to be jumping up but not able to stop it in time. But the Junior, the stalwart Junior for the bubble, gets 2 picks. Junior is the MVP of this match. The Carbon doesn't make it in time. It misses the power clam. Oh my goodness.
Holy smokes.
The Battle Junior MVP clutch is gonna get Pathway to grand finals of Swimmer Sync 194.
The holding of the line, the single soldier holding firm, holding their Alamo, just standing firm. Basically just denying anybody who ventured forth, you shall not pass indeed. Pathway in a 3v4 with everything against them, backs against the wall. They will finish that in a 3-0 sweep, and that Junior, like you mentioned, secures them a spot in grand finals. I am still at a loss for words.
Man. Wow. What a crazy video game. And their finals opponents already determined. We're seeing return to the 36 chambers back in the swing of things. Both these teams have had to battle through disconnecting teammates to make it this far, and they've both conquered. But man, Pathway was just so dominant throughout all 3 of those games in the set. They've been so strong throughout this tournament, and I mean, it's no fluke. They're such a strong team, and they're in grand finals, only dropping a game so far in this Great White Bracket in their first at the Ugly Ducklings.
I mean, yeah, it seems like just based on taking a look at how this bracket has shaped out, it seems like they just got off to a little bit of rough waters, but then afterwards never looked back. They just sent it straight down, and they were able to beat a team that ran a very, very similar comp to them, and then tried to match it at the very end. But overall, you might know what's coming, but that doesn't mean you can't stop it halfway. Really nicely done there. We were just waiting, like you mentioned, for that final set. It actually finished up there, and we will be seeing Pathway versus Return to 36 Chambers, as both teams did complete that sweep.
Yeah, 3-0s on either side of the semifinals stage, so we're going to be seeing two teams clash controllers that we've already seen before on this stream here in the top 8 for 36 Chambers and the top 4 of Pathway. And, you know, both these teams looked incredibly strong. We saw them each for 3 games. We saw them each how they play with the disconnect. And now we're going to see them battle against each other in one last best of 5 set to determine the champions of Swimmer Sync 194.
Now, it'd be really funny if both those disconnects happened at the same time, and we'll be seeing a 3v3 instead. I think that's the only fair way.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree. Maybe that's the big surprise for SOS2 Hundos. We do 3v3s.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then we're just gonna have absolute chaos. Everyone is locked and playing Bamboo. It's gonna be awesome.
And we only do one map, and it's mincemeat on Clam Blitz, and the first to knockout wins.
More like first to score.
that was a gimmick tournament idea we had back in the day of just mincemeat clams 1 hour in recon mode. You only win if you get the knockout.
Lord, that sounds like torture. Anyways, taking a look at the set here as a whole, we will have a Splat Zone sandwich with all of our modes present here. Game 1 being Splat Zone's Mako Marts. Any thoughts on this map mode? I do have one thing to say about Pathway's comp here. That Carbon is gonna feast on the angles here on Mako Mart.
That Carbon and that Sword are very hungry. they are so hungry, and they will be fed. They will be feeded towards, I would assume. Yeah, this map very, very good at weapons, good under ledges. You know, your rollers, your splatanas, your buckets, your blasters, all so incredibly strong on this map mode, as per usual. I mean, it does make a mark. You know the vibes. You know how it is. It's been in the cut since 2017. You know how it is already.
Yes, there will be ink shed in aisle 7. That is what we're doing here. Yes, absolutely. Hopefully somebody who did buy that cereal doesn't notice the blood of the less fortunate.
Honey blood Cheerios.
You don't like Cheerios with a little bit of purple squid ink?
Cheerios the red way.
The red way for sure. But anyways, both these teams off of very fiery sets here. Only one victor can be crowned. Let's see who'll take it all as we take a look at these weapon comps. Pretty standard between both sides and what we've kind of been used to seeing them.
We're seeing the Frozen Pro make an appearance though on the side of I believe Return to 36 Chambers here, Pathway. You know, we saw their comp a lot in that last set, but Return to 36 Chambers has, you know, most of the same stuff. That Pro is going to go down pretty early though, so no missiles for a good while, and Pathway is the first one to hold onto that zone. And Bonk already doing what Bonk does, and that of course is Bonk.
Right back to business, it seems. The Reef Slider also being canceled as well will allow Pathway to kind of make fourth here. You have just the Wiper left, trying to see if they can get somebody. They will get one, trying to see if they can contest that zone with that hammer as well. They will succeed. The second one as well, found from the throw. Really nicely done by Dalek here, but Bonk shuts that right down as they will be just trying to see if they can make some presence here on that right side. I believe they found another with that Zuka as well.
Yeesh. Yeah, I mean, specials galore taking over this map, and that Sultan is able to get the pick as well on that Dapple Dualies. But, you know, right now 36 Chambers back into the swing of things here, so close to this lead. Again, it's a bit of a fleeting lead. They're not going to be able to get it, though, it seems. Bonk is going to be able to patrol the zone, get 2 nice ones, 2 quick ones to get back control of that zone here. But it's just a bloodbath right now in the middle of this map. It feels like we're all just dropping into the death bowl, and only one person leaves alive, and it might not be this junior that's already going down. It might not be the Stamper that's already going down as well, to this hammer player, or by this Wiper player as well. it's just so back and forth. The seesaw zone map is in effect.
Yeah, we see a lot of trading here, but eventually you have 36 Chambers in control of the zone with sprinklers as well to kind of help with that paint. Gonna be really, really difficult to take out that sprinkler here, and you have 36 Chambers now with the lead, sitting pretty. You have two players on that left side trying to take the advance, but Bonk shuts them both down, opening a position and an opportunity for Pathway to kind of move in here. The Pro will take out Ant on that pen, yes, but the zone will be flipped here as Bonk is just hunting for kills. Still, this Pro remains alive on this right side, trying to jump out, but they will not live to fight another day.
Yeah, just it's been a rough shake of things for this Pro player in this game, unfortunately. Just not quite able to play to that game plan they want, but Return to 36 Chambers is still off to a good start here in the set. They have the lead right about now. The hammer is so creatively used to find that pick in breakfast, gets another pick on another player on that stack as well. And boy, Return to 36 Chambers, such a strong team right now, playing with authority. I mean, both these teams are coming into the set with momentum, but 36 Chambers definitely riding that wave all the way to the end of this game of one so far.
Absolutely here, continuing to move forward. Bonk just trying to see if it can get that Zuka. Will decide to pop it here, but will they manage to get that pick onto Dalek? They will not. Dalek is wonderfully grabbing the attention of both those members on Pathway here. Dooley's almost able to maneuver around Bonk, but you have the time ticking down here, Pinky. They have to move in soon. The Booyah Bomb being invested now. Basically, all the specials on the side of Pathway will be invested. They will get the zone, yes, but now you have to hold it through their own points. They don't have any penalty to really work about here, so this could be a great opportunity to snatch this one back.
Yeah, for sure. And those missiles were popped a little bit early, so got that one out of the way. The Carbon's so close to it, Trizuka as well, and that's, I mean, we've seen what Bonk does with the Zuka, but the Junior goes down a bit early, as does the Pen on the other side, though. Bonk trying to find some players on the enemy stack and inside the zone right now, but the slider is going to be enough to get that cap, courtesy of that Dapple Dooley Nouveau stack of that penalty and stop that momentum that Pathway was starting to stack up here. But, you know, Pathway back in control of the zone, penalty not too high against them. Junior close to another bubble, and we're about a minute away from the end of this game one.
Very powerful bubble position here on this right stack, denying so much space on this right side. Missiles will now be invested, I believe, targeting 3. So now a little bit of an opportunity here for 36 Chambers to move in. Gimme moving in with that Reef. Managing to live that with that cooler jump is unfortunately taken out later. A 2-for-1 trade will go into favor of 36 Chambers now. A 2-for-2 trade. Just the Junior remains here as 36 Chambers will be able to retake the zone with lead now. All the pressure on Pathway to try to make their move. 35 seconds left. You have a little bit of time to try to see if you can get those specials here, but this retake needs to be very, very impactful.
You know, it's interesting because Pathway, in order to make it here, had to beat oh my goodness, the hammer double in the bubble and the triple for the wipe. This game was a wrap already. There's 20 seconds to go. 36 Chambers has been absolutely dominating the second half of this game, and Pathway really been struggling to hold on. You know, it's interesting because in order to get here, Pathway literally had to beat the physical embodiment of cheese, but now they're dealing with the literal embodiment of cheese in that Dapple Doodly Reef Slider, and it's just been a bit of a struggle here in this game one. Yeah, Return to 36 Chambers getting a decisive first game win.
And it's just the wiper. I mean, I feel like every time I saw them, they were getting at least 2 with the hammer. You saw the creative ways they were able to use it. Dalek, correct. I'm sorry if my pronunciation is not correct of your name, but I don't know how many I can count. I can't even count the amount of hammer kills they were able to get. It felt like every single time they were able to get 2 or 3. Obviously, the highlight at the very end, shutting down any comeback attempt from Pathway, but you saw every single time the impact of it was just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
The different ways they were using it as well, not only in just running people over, running down that bubble, but just chucking it and finding that pen as well.
I think one thing I've definitely noticed is that, like, it's ever since that hammer buff, it's kind of interesting to see where the wiper player begins and where the hammer player ends. Like, it's kind of like I don't know. I feel like wiper players went from being like 90% wiper player to now like 30% wiper player, and just investing so many skill points, so to speak, into that hammer, because it is so incredibly potent when it works for you. Doesn't always work for you, but when it does work for you, you see what happened.
Yeah, this is some like dread 15-second crab thing of just like, you want to get that hammer as soon as possible. And The next map, I feel like, is going to be a doozy of a one, just based on what we know about both these teams in terms of what we were just talking about with that wiper. Hammer can be so valuable here, but you thought that Mako Mart was a feeding grounds for Carbon.
For Carbon, yeah.
This is arguably the best one, at least in my opinion. This is Shark-Infested Waters, Rainmaker, Humpback, the chaos we all know and love.
Yeah, well, love is a strong word, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I don't have much love for this map in my heart. Maybe you know, I know other people like this map a lot, and you know what? To each their own. Just not quite my cup of tea personally, but you know what? That's why I'm not playing on it. That's why I'm commentating it.
Yes. As our producer Justin said, how could you not like it? There's jelly on a bike. I mean, that's all the explanation you need. You get to see a jelly on a bike.
Okay, you know what? That's pretty cute. You got me there. It is pretty cute. It's pretty cute. Look, every bad map has its advantages. I'm not gonna say they don't. Jelly on the bike, pretty peak. You got to admit. Unfortunately, I feel like moving around this map a little bit awkward because of all just the weird terrain. Swords especially, I feel like your shots get caught a lot on this map. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see anything switch off. No, we're seeing the same stuff here on the side of Pathway, but on the other side, Return to 36 Champions, you know, sticking with most of the same stuff as well.
I mean, you do have that bucket, though, coming in instead of the pro, which I do love for those trip strikes. Really allow you to kind of take that space up near elbow. 2-for-1 trade will be had in favor of Pathway here. As they have numbers, they'll move forward. They'll take that trade here, as now Bonk has a little bit of space to work with, has Cooler as well, and now you kind of hear the Jaws music kind of starting, now trying to see if they can find their next target here. You do have a little bit of a skirmish happening on that top side. You do have Bonk, unfortunately, going down here. They will be back fast with Cooler, but 36 Chambers, a really nice recovery, will allow them to almost get that checkpoint. No, Bonk has respawned with that Zuka and Pound 2.
Bonk has returned to the state of the game, and they will choose to impact it by firing Try-Zuka. Yeah, Try-Zuka, man. It's a special in this game, and that is for sure. Pathway here trying to defend this Rainmaker, but their area is being pretty quickly encroached there by the hammer and the slider to break that checkpoint here. And now, you know, 36 Chambers has that checkpoint down, and now we enter the fun part of Humpback, where no lead is a safe lead unless it is a knockout here. But the flank here from Bonk on this Carbon Roller, able to find a pick, is already headhunting for this Rainmaker here in cohorts with the Stamper, going able to find that pick on that Maker to sort of stop that from getting too out of hand. But Pathway been on the back foot pretty much the entire first game or second game.
Yeah, around the 55-ish point is where most teams will be able to get to just by winning one team fight, but the true battle, of course, is afterwards. You do have the Booyah Bomb and Bubble available on the side of Pathway to kind of make that happen. You did see the trip strikes being invested early. Gimme here is already rushing that Rainmaker somehow behind all enemy lines. Booyah Bomb being invested as well, but you see the counter Hammer on the other side managing to find one, trying to see if they can find more. They unfortunately unable to find any more. A little bit more space to be had by Pathway to kind of move up in this blue ink. 3 players in total fall for 36 Chambers, just left to the pen, and then there's a great opportunity here, Pinky, for them to get this check.
Yeah, this is definitely a great chance for Pathway to, you know, clear that pathway toward the checkpoint. They're going to be able to do it to go down here on 36 Chambers as well. So definitely lead opportunity here for Pathway. They're going to capitalize on it. The slider a bit too slow. Lead drops down to 35 points here on this match, which, you know, 35 it's a decent lead. It's a solid lead, but the lead you want on this map is a knockout, and that's how it's always going to go. But the pop actually goes in favor of Pathway. They're not able to move it anymore, though. The Dapple able to get the stop on that Maker, but Sword pops the shield yet again here to try and extend this advantage. But the Booyah Bomb gets canceled, but the Maker picked up anyway, pushed towards 22 points, and now Pathway definitely content to move back and say job well done.
Yeah, sure. Slowly but surely they were able to move up. Someone smells Bonk. They will find them. Really nicely done. It seems like 36 Chambers have just made it their mission to snuff out this Carbon. They did. Really nicely done. There's something less to worry about as they kind of just move towards this right side. You do have to worry about that pen, though. Just being able to take out that Rainmaker gimme. Slowly but surely lurking up, trying to see if they can find anything. Do they know that the other shark, that Carbon, is nearby? They don't. They will get taken out there, and that will will allow Pathway to kind of get that opening pick and more space to really work with here.
Yeah, I mean, this map is just, it's kind of uninhabited in the middle right now. All the sides and the spawns areas are really what's being utilized here. Dalek is going to be throwing that hammer with that wiper, just trying to suss out where everyone is going to be right now. Try to move forward here, but, you know, already finding some, a bit of adversaries here on the side of the Pathway, trying to stop this Rainmaker from being pushed, and just bomb spam from this junior is going to be ever present on this push, as is Bonk finding a nice pick on that Rainmaker and helping to combo with the help of the team.
Yes, here you have now both teams just desperately trying to fight over this pop. It will go into the favor of 36 Chambers, but they you know how dangerous they can be with this hammer. They go in, they unfortunately take it out. No picks to be had. 43 seconds left on the board. Pathway move in quickly, not wasting any time, forcing the wipeout as well. And now things are looking a little dire here for 36 Chambers in this round. You have 30 seconds left here. You have them in control of this Rainmaker, smartly taking it into this pit, this very annoying pit that is going to be so difficult to get this Rainmaker out of.
Yeah, this is what I like to call the fun zone, because if you're putting the Maker here, you're definitely having a good time. And you just kind of keep it, look, Pathway just wants to keep it locked down here as much as possible. The slider being forced to pop it, but it doesn't even get the pick. It puts it in range of that pencil though, and kind of puts it out of the fun zone a little bit. So Pathway's playing a little bit backfires there. We're going to be seeing overtime being forced here, but there's only a few seconds left and they have to grab it. They're able to parry the bomb as well. So Sky is able to take 36 Chambers into overtime. They have to get it down to 21 points or below in this one push here, and Bonk is going to be so important to kill. Bonk is down. Junior throwing bombs. Pen throwing the shots as well, just trying everything, but the carbon is being laid out with the bomb. Able to get the pick on the Maker, getting Pathway game 2.
Really nicely done there. Not only the bomb chipping it, but I believe the Stamper got a little bit of chip as well, and that combination is all you need to take out somebody. And Rainmaker overtime humpback, it's so difficult to do. It's such a difficult position to push, and all it takes is one stray bomb, some damage here and there, and you will fall. We have a set on our hands, Pinky, here. Now tied 1-1. Basically think of it as a best of 3 now as we move to Clam, Blitz, Umami.
Yeah, I mean, the more things change to a best of 5, the more they stay best of 3 at the end of the day. Clam with Umami Ruins is going to be this game number 3, and that is an interesting one for the state of the set so far.
Absolutely, yes. We saw this map before, but it was on zones. Clam Blitz here can prove to be a little bit of an interesting back and forth. We saw how much of a bloodbath or ink bath, if you will, we saw on Humpback Pump Trek was. This can definitely prove to be another one of those type of maps, especially with the very aggressive comps that both sides are running. You have Daylurk on that wiper, and you have Bonk on the other side with that carbon. You really have to kind of play around these players if you're on the opposing teams. It seems like, at least for that game, we did see moments that Bonk was kind of stalled out a little bit. You had the wiper just spamming torpedoes at them, but just the raw value that having a weapon such as a carbon, such as a wiper can have just by the mere presence, by that pure pressure, is something that these teams can kind of build on, and that I think can be very powerful on this map.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good weapons on this map. I mean, Pen, so much range. We already know. I mean, we already know what Pathway's having. They're gonna have the Pen Junior, Sticker Stamper, and the Carbon Deco, and of course I think we know the other team, 36 Chambers, probably gonna have Pen, Dapple Nouveau, and then just Wiper and probably some combination of the fourth one, whether it's a Bucket or Pro. We've seen them both be used. We're actually seeing a 3v4 right now, which is not what we had on the menu, but I think we're gonna get things squared away pretty quick. I think we're just gonna have to do a redo.
Yes, but if these weapons are any early indication, Pathway will be sticking kind of with what they had, and 36 Chambers will be having that Bucket as that kind of midline just to kind of help with fights here and there. Obviously, Gimme has been another X factor for them in terms of being able to get in from behind, kind of do what Bonk has been doing, and kind of getting value in the sense of, hey, I have a funny car and it wants to hit you, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but just by the mere presence of the Dapples, it's something you have to look at.
Yeah, you do got to pay attention to the silly slider, especially because you can always power jump or super jump a power clam. I was gonna say power jump a super clam to it, but you know you know what I'm saying. You know, you can get the power clam into the basket. You also have that gamer jump onto the dome. It's kind of a fake gamer jump, but an important one nonetheless, because if you can get control of that dome area while you're pushing, that is a really good position to hold.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And being able to kind of create pressure through those means these teams are going to have to initiate their frontline players, help them in supporting prolonged fights, because that's where Clam Blitz really tests you on your coordination and how well you can continue your push and keep the ball rolling, because it gives you very few time to kind of make mistakes, kind of think. You have to know where you are going, know the plan, know where your teammates are, and just be there. You have to act almost instinctively, just be able to kind of just get there, make sure you have that clam economy, and just take these very, very smart fights, and kind of like you mentioned, be able to kind of control that tower and elbow area.
Yeah, I mean, is that allowed?
I don't remember there being anything against it per se, but I mean, hey, we're
balling. All right, Frozen
Yep.
Pro. That bucket was all a mind game, was all a mental ruse to throw off Pathway. I'm curious to see what this Frozen Pro is going to be doing here on this map. I guess missiles are pretty strong on this map, to be fair. So does it make sense in hindsight? We're going to be seeing this Missile Pro just kind of hanging back as 3 go down on Pathway really early on.
Yes, the ball is already there. The clams are already there. 36 Chambers, like I mentioned, were able to get these key positions already. You see Sky on this tower has so many clams to really work with here, slowly but surely throwing them in just to buy some time. I believe that was a sprinkler kill as well from Sky here, but Bonk is hunting for players. They will find that trade, but the points are being scored still in the background there. Finally shuts that down.
Who is scoring that point, like all the way to 40? Like I can reason how it got to 53. I can't reason how it got to 47. Unfortunately, a little bubbler was popped, so not gonna get much use out of that special. It was kind of stuck under that grate, right next to the dome. But even still, Pathway has control of this map, but they're losing players pretty quickly here. It's just gonna be this Junior alive, which has that power claim, and is gonna be trying to be ruined by the vehicular manslaughter here. This Dapple is still gonna be able to find the pick for a delayed wipe on Pathway.
Yes, Dalek here, right back with that hammer again. How dangerous they can be with it. Just waiting to see if these specials are gonna be traded out here. You have that Junior on the side of Pathway, no longer alive actually, scratch that. Missiles will go out from 36 Chambers, maybe just to see if they can get any presence, just trying to see if they can even things up. That Pro will find one. The trade is there from that Stamper, and you see that jump being camped as well. That is a 2-player down situation. Pathway have created themselves a little bit of real estate to kind of move in, as they do have 9 clams, but they also have 2 powers.
Yeah, but they also don't have a ton of players right now. This Junior's trying to, get a nice jump point here with that big bubbler, but they're running back into the loving embrace of that Dapple Dooley. Just been perpetually on the flank and perpetually a nuisance here for Pathway, as they're going to go 3 down here. And I think a score is inbound here for 36 Chambers yet again. Just a few clams away from building that power claim. And yup, another basket breaker is coming in this pen, throwing more clams into that basket. And now the hammer's being popped as well to get even more picks onto Pathway in their spawn right now. And just, it is a massacre on the scoreboard right now.
Absolutely. Bonk does have a Zuka. Can it find any value? No, it doesn't. 2 players fall for that Pathway. Now 3 in total, I believe, as Dalek is here back with more clams. This could easily end in a knockout here, and it will. A quick 100-0 knockout. All it took 36 Chambers was 2 pushes to get game 3. Pathway didn't really get any push going. They were stuffed in mid, as 36 Chambers were able to kind of hold onto that very nicely through just some very crafty and scrappy fighting, despite being outnumbered on that hold.
Yeah, I mean, Pathway lost the mental battle on the team select. They weren't expecting the Frozen Pro. They brought 3 players at first, and I don't know how much that actually impacted their actual gameplay, but they didn't score a point, I'm pretty sure, and that was just 36 Chambers, two pushes, and they got it done here on Clam Uzumami, which is a pretty hard map to do that, to say the least, because clan spawns are rough, but regardless, return to 36 Chambers, so incredibly close to that tournament victory, just one game away, and they got 2 chances to do it. Pathway has their backs against the wall, trying to force a game 5 here to bring this tournament to the brink. It's going to have to happen now on tower control Inkblot for game 4.
Yes, and Bubble, the 2 specials that come to mind for this map are Bubble and Trip Strike. Now, we did see, if I'm not mistaken, the brief bucket sighting. It was very brief.
Yeah.
From return.
We saw pro, we saw bucket, we saw back to pro.
Yes. So in terms of specials here, I feel like strikes are a bit better just for the centralized purpose of you can just throw it straight onto the tower. You can also use it with that freedom. Missiles are a little bit just use it and lose it in terms of where the enemies are. But you always want to have that GG special here, especially since Inkblot's tower is just a literal uphill climb. You are at a height disadvantage the entire way.
Yeah. No, it's rough. I mean, Inkblot is an interesting one. I feel like of the tower maps, though, Inkblot is the least centralized around its second checkpoint compared to literally every other tower control map in the game that is like played in tournaments. The second checkpoint is not the end of the world here. It's still pretty big, don't get me wrong, it's still hard to push through, but it's more about like points actually matter on this map. It's not just checkpoints like you were saying earlier.
Yes, absolutely. And again, we know Pathway's kind of X factor in Bonk, and they were able to kind of take advantage of certain points on Macomart, and 36 Chambers has adapted really nicely into just making sure that they don't get that much value by just sheer don't stand near the ledges when the roller is there. And so far it's proven wonders as they've awoken themselves as just really able to kind of push together cohesively, being able to take advantages of those individual heuristic plays where someone's able to get a 2-player down situation. Specifically, Daylight has been a huge X factor for them. We're seeing the return to Forge Pro here, a weapon we don't normally see very often, but is loved by 36 Chambers for that booyah.
That carbon roller is gone here.
Ooh.
Yeah, Bonk is being subbed out for Ant, I believe, on that S-Blast 91 with the Burst Bomb and the Booyah Bomb. One of the best weapons in this game. Unfortunately, goes down right as I'm complimenting them. But yeah, that's an interesting player swap. But I can definitely understand it. You know, Pathway wants to change things up a little bit. Those first few games not going their way, trying to change things up in the back half of the set, but the Wiper still in the back ranks all the same, jumping onto this onion and still putting such a menace. Yes, the hammer throw on the pen.
That's ridiculous. To jump in behind enemy lines and chuck a hammer at the tower, that is bonkers from Dalek there. And that got them the tower. That won them the team fight. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. Can't argue with that. The Forge Pro, however, is on this left side with a Booyah Bomb. Now looking to throw it right on that Plaid will allow 36 Chambers to kind of move in a little bit, but not if Ants, that S-Blast, has anything to say about it here. Managing to find 2 with 3 players down, and I believe a delayed wipe to follow. Pathway now regain control of the tower, and now see if they can kind of break this little stalemate.
Yeah, we are in a bit of a stalemate right about now, and, you know, like you said, Pathway is going to be the one that is trying to break it. They have the smallest of leads. They want to extend it, but the hammer says no. Finds a pick on the tower right, but the hammer goes down, and the slider gets popped. Slider doesn't find any picks, though. Booyah is going to be paused. I think I saw checkpoint 1 being cleared. No, not quite yet. Still being fought over right now. 81 points where this lead is going to stand. The Dapple's on the flank, finds a pick, is going to go down. Just an absolute bloodbath on this battle for the tower. Finally, Pathway gets through that first checkpoint, though.
Yes, here you do have Sky, though, just holding the fort on this Bats area, being booyah'd out by that Booyah Bomb here, and now you have a little bit of an opportunity for 36 Chambers to try to move in. Another Booyah Bomb being popped, as not only does Pathway have double midline, they will have that double Booyah Bomb. Really, really powerful. 3 players in total just exploded for 36 Chambers, as Pathway are not taking the foot off of the pedal at all, and now a great opportunity to try to extend this lead and maybe get that second check.
Yeah, trying to get the second check here. Pathway off to a good start, but, you know, 2v2, this is a very volatile game state. This Dapple Dually so incredibly obnoxious, going to be able to try and pop this Booyah Bomb, but instead gets caught in the crosshairs, and another Booyah Bomb is going to be popped by the jumping in player here. So Pathway still has the lead, still pushing on this tower, still fighting for this control. in the bath, but the sword gets caught up by the pen. The Dapple just rolls right onto the tower as well, and that's going to be a wipeout onto Pathway. Return to 36 Chambers is just so strong in defense.
Absolutely here, but they now have to flip the script. It is their turn to attack here. They don't have really much to kind of worry about, as 2 players have already fallen. 3 players on the side of 36 Chambers move up that Bats. Ant being taken out as well. This Pro just trying to desperately hold the line, at the very least gets that trade here, so Bats' presence will be had. Now it is 36 Chambers' turn to kind of push up this ramp area, this very chokeholdy ramp area, as these Booyah Bombs are coming online very shortly to kind of see if they can stall out this push.
Yeah, and I mean, I see 3 Booyah Bombs in the lobby. I see no Tri-Strikes, so, you know, not quite the same thing, but Booyah Bomb is still able to stall out the tower for just a little bit of time, and that's definitely a strategy that both these teams are going to be playing for. Slider just trying to, just so good at breaking this formation, but not quite able to capitalize it on it quite as well as they want. So close to the lead flip, but Mondi on this junior able to save the lead for just a bit more. And now Pathway, going into the last minute of this game, still has the lead 52-54. It is so incredibly close. Anything can happen in this game 4.
Absolutely, Ant is taken out. Booyah Bomb will not be online for them. 2v2 will be had here now. 2v1 if I'm not mistaken. Spexzu on the Stamper, managing to find that Pro here. 50 seconds left. Ant just slowly but surely is on that tower, just trying to deny any presence from 36 Chambers. It is all pressure on them to make something happen, but Daylight, nice shot from Ant, is taken out.
Yeah, it's just so incredibly back and forth. The Pathway has control of the middle of this map. Return to 36 Chambers, though, has the numbers advantage, is trying to get the specials on the board here. Ooh. 2 picks from this Pro is going to be exactly what they need to get this party started here, and they have the Booyah at the ready. They have the Slider, they have the Hammer, they have everything ready to break apart this formation with their bare hands with 20 seconds to go. So close to this lead. Will third time be the charm for return to 36 Chambers? The tower is contested, but 3 go down. It's just the Stamper. Can they find Spexzu? No, they get the pick. 2 jumping on a tower. This sword could have a field day right now, but everyone is just desperately running and jumping in, trying to get control, and it's not enough for 36 Chambers. Pathway barely forces a game 5.
I saw about 5 people explode on the tower.
I saw more than that. There were bodies hitting the floor, dude.
It was like fireworks. I mean, fireworks of blue and orange there, but Spexzu, sorry, on that Stamper for Pathway, holding the line despite their team going 3 down. They were the final players standing, surviving that stamp and surviving that jumping pen as well, managing to just stall out, live to fight another day, and denying that tower. Really nicely done there, and this is what you want in the grand finals. You want your players to rise up to the occasion, and we are going to a game 5, and it will be Mahi zones.
Yep, Mahi zones, the last game of this tournament. It was the first one we thought we were going to see on our block, and yeah, Mahi zones. We saw it briefly a few sets ago in a 100-0 knockout push, which really did not last too long. So hopefully we'll get a better tour of this fine resort here on this summer night. But yeah. This tournament has been a great one, and it's going all the way down to the brink.
Absolutely, and if you thought any of these other maps were chaos, I feel like this one is also just giving itself to chaos as well, just because of, again, we know Mahi for what it is. It is very, you need to be very intentional in retakes. A lot of defender position to kind of just camp these ledges. Curious to see if Bonk will make the return or not, as yes, the double Booyah was there just to be able to kind of stall, but it also allowed Pathway to kind of just play this little bit of a different comp for tower. Do they kind of return to a more aggressive comp with kind of Bonk being able to kind of move in with that junior, or do they stick with that double mid line, do you think?
I really don't know. I think it's a game time decision. I think another thing that you have to consider is that the Dabble Nouveau running Gimme on that Reef Slider is going to be going for Slider Cheese. They went for it in game 1. They're probably going to be going for it here in game 5. And that's another factor you really have to consider. So, you know, what is going to be better suited to deal with that? Is it going to be the Booyah Bomb with a more consistent paint? Is it going to be the Carbon with the better striking ability to try and stop the Slider from going off in the first place? It's a really hard gamble, really hard decision, but Pathway has locked in their choice, as too has Return to the 36 Chambers. We're here for the final game of Swimmer Sync 194.
Yes, Bonk is not on the team there. You do see the return of the double Booyah Bomb. It is going to be so crucial for both teams to kind of just control their specials. It's going to be basically an arms race here, Pinky, in terms of who's able to really throw their nuclear bomb first in terms of either side having Booyah Bombs. That Forge Pro, though, off the get-go is taken out by Pathway, and 2 players fall in total. The Pen, Keeley, 3 fall, and that Cooler being stalled out. Dalek, though, trying to make something happen in mid, will find 1, but won't find much more.
Yeah, it's able to take one down with their last breath and try and stall things out a little bit, so Pathway couldn't push up as much as they wanted. But even still, Pathway has control of the zone, and they're close to getting this water to start dropping onto Return to the 36 Chambers. And once this water drops, you know, it's all one-way drops in the middle of this map, and that makes things kind of easy to predict. And that slider gets pawed out by Pathway here, and now they're below that 50-point threshold. They're all coolered up as well. Close another bubble, about a third of the way to another Booyah as well from this. From the blaster, but the slider cheese is going to be able to get the cap onto the zone, but Pathway still alive in the zone, gets the cap right back and is able to take down the Booyah Bomb user as well. And Return to the 36 Chambers, for the first time in the set, is in a really bad stagger right now.
Yes, the really nice shot by Ant to somehow get gimme from that. They're still going here, Pinky, managing to find another, and like you mentioned, the stagger is very, very brutal. Bubble is also available for Pathway if they so choose to make this a little bit harder of a retake. Penalty points are almost gone here, and 36 Chambers back against the walls. Another Booyah Bomb to continue to make this worse. 2 players are down here. The remaining 2 stuck in a corner, really bad position here to kind of get out of, but here come the special. Dalek gaining 1. Could they find the second? Yes, they will. With 3 players down, finally 36 Chambers are back into the zone, but that looked very scary.
Yeah, I think that Sticker Sword was forced to jump out a bit early because they didn't find the picks they wanted. But Gimme just chilling on this ledge. I don't think any of them know what's about to happen to them. Here comes Gimme, but they're not able to find any pigs before they're taken out. Such a big blow there to 36 Chambers strategy, but Pathway still fighting back to go down, and Gimme is still respawning here, trying to jump back. That's Pathway getting control of the zone yet again, but still Return to 36 Chambers fighting. That Forge Pro finds a pick with that Booyah Bomb across the map, and Return to the 36 Chambers back in control of this zone. They have Hammer at the ready as well on this Wiper, ready to cause as much havoc as they've ever caused in the rest of the set.
Absolutely a great position here to hold onto Mahi Mahi. This is where you're really able to kind of build out those leads. You have to worry about the Venn diagram of Booyah Bombs, though, immediately capping the zone. The Reef actually being invested on the other side to maybe get a kill. Dalek here yet again with another stamp, managing to find 1, seeing if they can get any more in control of the zone here. But I mean, both sides unable to really get a strong capture onto the zone. Finally 36 Chambers are eventually able to here, and Gimme on that flank only able to find 1, but still presence has been made and space created.
Yeah, we're about 2 minutes away from the end of this tournament at this point here. 56-11 is where the points are going to be standing here. Pathway has a comfortable lead, but Return to the 36 Chambers is pushing, and they're getting more points on the board. The Hammer, no! Doesn't quite work out. It whiffs when 2 targets were there waiting right for it here in this pro. Going to be gunned down for that wipe out on Return to the 36 Chambers, and Pathway, once again, it just seems like everything is going their way in this game number 5. It did not feel like that for the rest of this set, but Pathway has locked in, and they are ready to take this tournament. 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go.
Absolutely here. Penalty points managing to find Sky. They're really nicely done by Ant to get that one-shot combo, denying the hammer as bro. Ant has thrived here as the ace up the sleeve of Pathway here. You have this pro on this left side trying to see if they can poke away at Ant. Ant is still going. 3 explode from Pathway here. Just Ant remaining holding firm, somehow living to fight for more here. But with a minute left here, 36 Chambers actually in a great position here to potentially steal this lead back. So Pathway can't get too comfortable quite yet, as you have the hammer still available as well.
Yeah, it's so tense right now. Just 20 points away from this lead, going in the favor of Return to 36 Chambers, and from there it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from a knockout. 2 Booyahs on the zone, but it goes in favor of Pathway. They pick the front over the Booyah, and they get the wipeout with 30 seconds to go. It is 11-18. Pathway has not scored a point in 3 minutes, it feels like. Return to the 36 Chambers, just able to get the cap every time they're close to doing that penalty. But here comes Dalek on the hammer again, finds the trade on the plat, but does not find any more value. The slider being popped on the zone, gets the cap on his own, as we're so used to seeing with the Junior and the Dapple trade out Sky on this pen, sitting on this vantage point. Return to the 36 Chambers, has control of the zone. It's going to have to happen here in overtime, Rocket.
Absolutely, the Booyah Bomb now being invested as well. Time ticking down on the penalty, and time is ticking down for Pathway to make the retake. They get the initial push. The Booyah Bomb goes in. Ant trying to see if they can get anything going. The second Booyah Bomb is there from Spekazu. It might be able to be enough paint. Ant just needs to win this fight against the pen, and they will. Managing to just barely hold on by the skin of their teeth. It was almost a comeback attempt from 36 Chambers despite being down so heavy at the beginning, but Pathway survived, taking the 3-2 and taking Swimmer Sync 194.
Pathway are your Swimmer Sync 194 champions in a hard-fought 5-game series. Every game they won by the smallest of margins, and every game they lost, it just felt demoralizing in that set. But their mental was so incredibly strong. I cannot commend them for that enough. Just never gave up, never bowed out. And you know, we were talking about the adaptations that take place in a long 5-game set. The decision to swap out Bonk for Ant, get that S-Blast on their team, slow down the pace a little bit, get a bit more support, get a bit more paint, get a bit more map control, and a bit more chip damage to combo with that Stamper was a brilliant decision to take that victory home. And Pathway has won a very hard-earned Swimmer Sync victory.
Absolutely. 36 Chambers just unable to find an answer against the double Booyah Bomb. And remember, Pathway was down 2-1 after game 3, but as a wise man once said, I ain't hear no bell. They were able to get the following 2 victories, really nicely done from them. And kind of like you mentioned, and we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the set, it's about who's able to make those adaptations. And I mean, we saw it right before our eyes.
Yeah, we really did. It was just, such a close set, back and forth the entire time. Again, it really felt like Return to 36 Chambers was just the one having the advantage and the momentum for most of those games, but Pathway just awakened their clutch genes at the perfect, precise moments to take all 3 of those games right when they needed to. In that game 5, they got off to a strong start and they rode that momentum, barely holding on at the end. Again, well-deserved hard-fought victory for Pathway. Congrats to the SOS champs.
GG's to them. And just out of curiosity, I don't think the 3rd place matchup has as finalized, as that is also going to a game 5. Chocolate over Vanilla versus Cheese there are also in Mahi Mahi to kind of determine that. But I think that'll kind of wrap it up here for us. Again, GG's the Pathways. Return to 36 Chambers, just a hair too short there. The valiant comeback attempts, though, don't get me wrong. They were down very, very significantly just off of the first minute, Pinky.
Yeah, this was a really great white bracket to cast and to watch as well. You know, we saw Ghost Stories go on a tear in the first few sets. We saw just so many strong. I mean, we saw Return to 36 Chambers. We saw Pathway just really dominate their sets, and then they finally clashed in that finals, and it went down to the wire as much as it possibly could have in this kind of tournament. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you love to see. I think that 3rd place match has concluded. So Chocolate over Vanilla is going to be taking that bronze medal over Cheese in what I'm sure was another really hard fought game 5 match. So the tournament ended on Mahi zones on both sides. I think that's what you love to see.
Absolutely. And with that will be the conclusion of us here at IPL for Swimmer Sync. But before we go, of course, Pinky, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me at brokenpinky.bsky.social at that link right below my beautiful face on Blue Sky, of course. And yeah, Rocket, where can the wonderful people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at right below my face as well at Rocket1 on Blue Sky. You'll also see me on the 26th at H-Town here, so definitely keep an eye out for that as well. Love to support some local lands, and as a Texan, I mean, that's the I feel like that's the only land that's kind of near my area. And when I mean near, I mean a 4-hour highway drive because Texas. But
yeah, I'm not exactly near to that one, unfortunately.
Yes.
But yeah, and also like just speaking of Splatoon lands and stuff, there's a lot of cool stuff that's about to happen. We have the Splatoon World Series qualifiers this Saturday and next Saturday. Keep your eyes peeled for those. We got SOS 200 coming up sometime in September, I believe. So
yes,
this game's about to get crazy. We're about to hit, I think, 3-year anniversary of Splatoon 3.
That's wild.
Yeah, stay tuned. Keep watching Splatoon. Keep playing this beautiful game. With that being said, that's all from us. Shout out to Justin Pipedream, the goated streamer, even in a thunderstorm. With that being said, thank you all so much. IPL, peace and out.